join us.
It's showtime.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
You're not here, you missing out, because this show...
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, listen up. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. I am Jay Cal. With me is my compadres, mis amigos, mis friends. What's going on, guys? This is Rick Del Santo, and this is DKM. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
What is going on, gentlemen? How are y'all?
I'm doing good.
It's good to hear. It's good to hear.
Your boy just qualified for the cruiserweight division or the junior heavyweight division in the NWA, so I'm doing really good.
Your boy? Who are you talking about? What's his face?
Me. I'm a junior heavyweight now.
Ah, that's amazing. All that hard work.
Yeah, man. I've been putting in the work, and I'm a junior heavyweight now. So, me and Alex Misery, I think when he officially comes to slaughter me, we'll record it. We'll put it up on the website so it can be an NWA match.
There you go.
Sean Mega on our TikTok just asked if you just woke up, Rick.
No, I might look it. I came inside. It was raining like crazy out, and I had to take the trash down to the end of the driveway. And I got a little soaked, more so than a normal rainstorm. We're catching kind of like a little bit of the hurricane that's going on in surrounding areas. So we're catching a lot of the moisture and stuff. So,
is what it is.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about that is like that all those hurricanes come up through like South America, right? They go through like the Caribbean, so they're gonna hit like Jamaica and Cuba and Puerto Rico, and then of course landside on the U.S. too, like the whole eastern seaboard.
Yeah.
We out here, I get earthquakes. We get earthquakes, and I'm so used to them now that. Oh, hey, there's an earthquake. How big was it? Oh, okay. And then that's it. And I even, my house, my home is very close to a fault line. And it's just like, man.
Yeah,
you'll just fall right in.
Well, supposedly, we're not going down into the ocean. We're just getting closer to Arizona. It just means that my commute is going to be a little bit easier in a couple of years.
No, I'm talking about the big chasm that forms when the big one hits.
Well, I appreciate that support, DK. I really do. And
I deal with tornadoes, so I don't want to hear it.
I was going to say, speaking of natural disasters, DK, how are you doing?
Well, let me tell you, the last 2 weeks have been like natural disasters, so.
Oh, come on. That
I'm
bad?
excited about tomorrow.
When, besides it being Halloween?
No.
Or you're excited for Halloween?
Yes.
Okay. I haven't been here in a couple of weeks. I could, use some of this misery.
Yeah. Well, Alex Misery's in the chat, willing to help out with
Alexander Miserable. There you go. As referred to earlier in the week from Danny Deals. Yes. Which had me cracking up.
I know it's silly, but I pop every time he says it. I'm like, oh, that's funny. Alexander Miserable.
So this is the first, we don't got to dive deep into it right now, but this is the first episode I've watched since the 77.
Yeah.
And are you happy with the lack of Billy Corgan on commentary?
100%.
Me too. I was like, ooh, this sounds like an actual professional team.
When we said Alexander Miserable, he literally re-entered the chat. He's like, damn it. You say his name 3 times in the dark in the bathroom mirror, and he will appear.
Oh, no. I remember that one.
So will
Joe Henry?
Joe Henry. So
Right.
I'd rather have Alex Misery around than Joe Henry.
Wait, he was like the hottest thing a year ago.
He was. That's a great point. He was the hottest thing a year ago. I feel like it's.
You do
what
have
is
a point.
there? What's left for him to do now? Like a
Well,
run?
Everyone kept waiting for him to go to WWF, and he was in there, but like he didn't hold the TNA title very long.
No, after lots of buildup and stuff. Yeah.
Santana's kind of the hot guy there now, and it's just like, boy, he rocketed up the popularity ratings and crashed down.
Did I show you guys that I have a collection of the 2 greatest NWA World Champions of all time?
Me.
We've got the Nature Boy Ric Flair and the Thrillbilly Silas Mason. I mean, check it out. The 2 greatest NWA World Champions of all time.
That's very corny.
No, that's Silas Mason. What are you talking about? That's Silas Mason. What are you talking about? Have you seen how jacked Silas Mason has gotten lately?
Yes. Yeah, he is a beast.
Dude is looking like even bigger and better than what he normally does.
Did you find those recently? Those AWA figures? No.
Believe it or not, those are from my childhood.
That's amazing.
My brother kept them somewhere, and like I have a few more of them somewhere in my office. But like we have LOD, and then like Scott Hall, but the Scott Hall's shoulder broke out of the figure, and there's like a Kurt Hennig, and I'm like, yeah.
Some of them all look the same.
Oh, they do.
Like they just put a different head on them.
Well, and the same thing with the Masters of the Universe action line too. Like those old He-Man figures are the same exact build. And hey, Misery, I'm gonna make a call. I'm gonna go on to the merch store. Trust me on this one, Alexander Miserable. We'll get some Lost. Lost is one of my favorite TV shows. Let's go, man. I'm good.
Nobody liked The Lost after the first season.
Oh, I love the first season. I quit watching it after the first season.
I don't even. My mom used to watch that show.
I'm not even sure they loved The Lost by the end of the first season.
It was. I remember everyone I knew was so into it, and so I'm like, oh, okay, I'll start watching. And I got hooked too. And then I was like, wait, what the hell's going on here? And then I felt like I was lost, and then I quit watching.
That was kind of like Heroes.
I never watched that. I don't really dive deep into television. I think the last time that happened was The Walking Dead. And after 9 seasons, I kind of just was like, F this. And then,
I'm trying to think of the last thing that I watched that was like multi-season long. And probably I haven't watched anything like that since The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, I watched all of that. Well, most of it in reruns, really. I didn't. When they started rerunning it on TBS, I started watching it, and then I caught like the last few seasons live. Trying to think of what else. So currently, I'm trying to think of what I watch. Jeez, that's really difficult because I can't think.
Currently, I'm not watching anything.
Everything's like usually streaming on like Netflix or something to that effect. So I usually just watch it all in one swoop.
I started watching The Paper, which is like The Office spinoff, and it's okay. It's okay. It's not The Office. It doesn't have any of the charm that The Office had. It's not as funny as The Office, but it's okay. There's another. It's like a comedy.
Does it have any characters?
There's a few of them.
No, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, does it have any characters from The Office?
Just one.
Okay.
One of the accountants from The Office is also an accountant on The Paper, and they even have a point where they show him when the cameras show up, and he goes, oh, "Wait a minute, I'm not signing off on this. I didn't agree to this." And then they show like the black screen, and it's like, well, there was no ending clause when you signed back in the original contract, so this is in perpetuity. We could use your likeness forever. So the first episode, he was cussing in front of the camera so that they couldn't use the footage, but now it's just normal again.
Interesting.
King Sean Mega says Task on HBO and Chair Company on HBO. I haven't seen either one of those. I try to stay up to date with what Disney Plus puts out in terms of like the Marvel and the Star Wars content, because I usually enjoy most of it, but I'm just having a hard time getting into anything lately on TV. It's just I'm so wrestling focused right now that I haven't really allowed myself to enjoy anything else.
I haven't even been that focused as I'm trying. I watched NWA today because I knew it'd be here, and I had the time to come on here tonight that I actually sat down and watched it today. It's the first wrestling show I've watched in weeks, which I was like, holy crap, I haven't watched wrestling. And literally, I don't even know what I do with myself. I like listen to music a lot lately. That's really what I've been listening to or doing a lot lately. But, you know.
Do you ever put on music before you go to bed and will just listen to it like all night?
I sleep with earbuds in. So
go ahead.
I mean, it changes from day to day as to what kind of mood. It's usually it depends. Like, what do you play?
So for me, I really like to listen to like Tool. Because it's very melodic, and it can be it not that it's monotonous, but because you have that same sound and that same rhythm kind of, and he's very I don't know the word, but the way that he sings, Maynard sings, his voice almost sounds like an instrument at some points. And we put the volume down low. My wife could sleep through a hurricane, so it's no big deal. But for me, like I have the volume down low, and I'll listen to that, and I'll kind of go into a trance, and I usually get my best sleep like that.
I'm glad you brought that up, because this is a band that I've ignored for the past 30 some odd years is Tool. And I recently just I was reading about them and kind of modern progressive bands and stuff, and I guess they fall into that category. And I do listen to a lot of progressive rock and stuff like that, especially from the 70s, 80s, and modern, but I guess they fall into that modern progressive category, and it's a band that I've always ignored, and so I kind of wanted to check them out, so I added them to my library on Apple Music, and they did tour with one of my favorite bands of all time. I think in the earlier 2000s, King Crimson. I'm not sure if you're aware of that tour at all.
No, but
because that's a band that was around from the later 60s, and they go through waves. They'll come back, put out an album or two, break up, come back an album or two. So each album that they do in each period has a different lineup, and it's all whatever is in the guitarist Robert Fripp's head. They change styles of music. Like the records they did in the 80s were kind of like post-punky, new wave. Some of the records they did in the 90s were like very heavy, and some of the records in the 2000s were very heavy and also very electronic influenced as well. So they just go through all these like different phases and stuff like that, and it's kind of they're a very, very interesting band. So, and I guess Maynard was a gigantic fan of theirs and invited them on the tour. However, 2.5 decades ago, and it ended up being a great relationship from there on in.
I wrote their name down so I can check them out. I fell in love with Tool when I was in high school, and it's still been one of those bands that they've never left me. And whenever there's a new song, I'm in it. I love it. I will.
Mm-hmm.
They're the new album. I've seen them live like 3 times now. I only have good things to say about that band, and I will see them anytime that they were on tour in. They did a show like in it was in Mexico, like one of the resort areas.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, how much? Like how much? Because the wife would have went, I could have made that happen, but it was just we did a little bit too much traveling this year. The UK trip really kind of depleted the funds. So
absolutely. Yeah. A lot of what I listen to is kind of at nighttime, at least. I'll put on either kind of like either ambient music or free jazz, kind of experimental jazz. And sometimes I'll just go kind of full on, just like whatever I guess is on my mind as far as like rock goes. I don't know. For some reason, the upbeatness of music does not distract me when I'm trying to sleep.
I tend to, like I said, the melodic sounds. It'll put me into a trance. Also, I just the other night we did Alice in Chains, right? And that's a different sound, of course, from Tool. But like, I woke up at like 5 a.m, and it was just like, hell yeah! What a great way to start the morning. Let's go. Anyways,
yeah.
Sorry, DK. We took a U-turn there. We took a left at Albuquerque. You still with us?
Do you have anything to offer to this conversation about music and nighttime?
I do not listen to music at night. I tend to read. And I primarily listen to 60s and 80s music, but the occasional 70s through it.
I was going to say.
You skipped a whole decade.
What the 70s do to you, DK?
I grew up in the 70s. That's what it did to me.
Fair enough.
And, now, I mean, I like some 70s music, but not as much as I like the 60s and probably through about 88.
Mm-hmm.
And then for me, music died in the 90s.
Definitely. Well, a lot of it did. My opinion about music in the modern era, even in the dying in the 90s, especially now with the internet, you have to dig for music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, I used to just listen to like public radio, or I still listen to public radio, community radio, or even college radio used to have really good shows that you can listen to that would kind of be, you know, maybe 2 or 3 hours of a particular genre that maybe you like. That's how I discovered a lot of, I guess, so-called alternative bands before they became really popular. Bands like Nirvana, bands like the Lemonheads and Soul Asylum, all those bands used to be played on, and then all of a sudden, a couple years later, they were gigantic on the regular FM radio. These days, I just have to hunt for anything. Like, I'll find something that I'm in the mood for, and it'll be compared to other things I like, and then I give it a try. I either hate it or I like it.
And I think it was the early, probably like 2006, 2007 was the last time I listened to music on radio. In the sense that I would turn on the radio, turn it to a station, and listen to what they played.
Yeah.
And so when my kids were younger, they had a couple of bands that they listened to that I would listen to. And I liked, like I remember liking Cage the Elephant. And yeah. I mean, I couldn't tell you 3 current songs. My son sends me stuff occasionally of different artists that he likes. And like, you know, I've listened to a couple by Sabrina Carpenter and stuff like that. But like, I haven't been into music in a long, long time because it died. And then there just aren't superstars anymore.
I want to ask you a question because DK, you've just said twice that music died in the 90s. Are we talking that like what do you mean exactly? Because like that's the music that I like. I grew up with and I lived with, and that resonates in my head to this day. So like, what genre, what sound are you talking about?
A history teacher once said, everybody in their life will find a time when music dies, when they no longer relate to whatever the current music is. And I mean, I can't say, oh, I don't, you know, this band was terrible or whatever. It was just like a time was like, okay, Taylor Swift.
Okay.
She writes music. She writes music for middle-aged women. Okay? I mean, right now she does. And I know a lot of middle-aged women, you know, 30s through 40s that just love her. And you look at their top 5 on Spotify and they're Taylor Swift songs. I like some of her early stuff, but I'm not her target audience.
No.
Okay? Once you start getting into your like late 20s, early 30s, you start learning you're not the target audience for music anymore.
Right.
And so that's more what I mean. So I can go back and listen to some of the old songs and I hear them totally different. I mean, like my favorite song in the entire world. The entire world, I think, is the best song ever. Is Strawberry Fields Forever by John Lennon. And the line that hooks me every single time is living is easy with eyes closed, misunderstanding all you see. Because I relate to that and see that in so much of the world. And it's not talking about literally your eyes closed. It's just basically talking about living in your own solitude little world, not, keeping up. And so you don't really understand what's going on around you. And it's just, but that song hits me today in a different way than it, hit me when I was a teenager or whatever. But it's always evolved with me. A funny thing I did not long ago was I listened to an acoustic version of what was it, Hanson? Was that their name? They did that Bop.
Yeah.
And so I listened to a slowed down acoustic version of it. That song's depressing. If you ever listen to the lyrics.
No, hey, why would I do that? Why would I listen to those lyrics?
I saw Taylor Hanson in concert. He was backed by James E. Ha, Smashing Pumpkins, Adam Schlesinger from Fountains of Wayne, and Bunny Carlos from Cheap Trick on drums. It was basically like a pop supergroup or a rock supergroup with him on vocals. And I got to tell you, they only did 2 dates outside of festivals, and one of them was at the Mohegan Sun Casino. So I went because I was a fan of like 3 of the 4 of the bands that were part of it. Dude, I got to tell you, it was an amazing show. They did really great cover songs as well as songs off the albums that they did. So, and I got to tell you, there was a bunch of females there just to see the Hanson dude. Tons. Like, they were waiting to get backstage and all this stuff, and I sat there waiting for the drummer from Cheap Trick to come out so he can sign my records.
The only member of Hanson that I wanted to see was Beck Hansen, and I still haven't seen him.
I've seen Stan Hansen, but he couldn't sing.
You sure?
Hell of a lariat, though.
Is it?
That would be great to see Stan Hansen like doing a karaoke in Japan, just like 12 or 15 beers in and just singing his heart out. I think that's where I want to go.
What would
next.
Stan Hansen sing? That's the other question.
Pretty probably some Chris Christopher.
He'd sing both kinds of music, country and western.
Aha.
Well, at one time those were 2 different types of music.
He is correct on that. Yes.
It's also a quote from one of my favorite movies, The Blues Brothers. I went on Mission from God.
Yeah.
So we're going to ask what movie that was from?
What movie was that from?
The Blues Brothers.
Blues Brothers.
I know.
You just said it.
You just said it.
I know, but it looked like Jay was about to ask what movie was that from, or he was about to do another quote or something.
No, I was going to say, like, didn't King of the Hill do that joke?
Very possible.
Didn't everybody do that joke? I said, didn't everybody do that joke?
It was probably Boomhauer who did it.
Hey, now, quick question for you guys, because tomorrow's Halloween.
Is that why you're wearing that mask?
Of all the spooky wrestlers that you can think of, who is the spookiest wrestler?
Not everybody at once.
That's a good question.
We'll throw because look, we can go with like the Boogeyman, right? You can go.
I'm trying to think. No, you threw me on the spot here, man. Like,
or Bray Wyatt. These are modern names, but then you go like the Missing Link or Abdullah the Butcher.
Purple Haze.
For me, it was probably when I first started watching wrestling in my preteens and then early teens. It was probably Abdullah the Butcher and Kamala that scared me the most.
For me, it was Tammy Sitch.
Well, that's just because she was a, preppy bitch. By the time I knew about her, there were plenty of them in my life, so. But it's like, Abdullah the Butcher was somebody that, when you first saw him, or when I first saw him, I should say. And even though as the old saying goes, I knew about the exhibition part of pro wrestling, somebody I looked at and thought, I'm not sure that's I'm not sure that's acting. That might really be him. And then
Two wrestlers that
I'd hear stories about him and Bruiser Brody literally just like they would just go out there and beat the crap out of each other. There was no plan, no nothing. It was just them going through the arenas.
two wrestlers that might definitely be on a lot of people's list. I had a lot of fun with at the same event was the Missing Link and Ox Baker.
Ooh.
And when I saw Missing Link glue his hair on, it kind of hurt me a lot. But I had a lot of fun. I spent half the time, it was me, Chris Candido, Crazy Ivan, listening to the Missing Link tell stories, and then me and I forget who else was with me listening to Ox Baker tell stories. And they don't like each other too. Well, they didn't like each other. I guess neither of them are alive, but they didn't like each other at all. So they were all very opposite sides of the building. But listening to both of them tell stories was amazing.
You just mentioned a name that struck me because it's a name that I hadn't heard in a long time until last year and didn't realize that he was still wrestling. But Crazy Ivan.
Yeah.
He wrestled a show here in North Haven, Connecticut. It was Gino Caruso's promotion came through town. I guess it was at a fair. And when he came out, I damn near fell out of my seat from laughter because I hadn't seen him in so damn long. I had no clue this dude was like still around.
Yeah, and he was a really awesome person. Helped me out a lot early when I was managing. I actually managed a wrestler called Dirty Money against him, doing his more alt-right style gimmick, or his more alt-Germany style gimmick. And it was at a triple letter biker bar, one that comes after J, and the that was almost intentional. That wasn't intentional, but it was still funny. But the promoter goes to me, and I'm managing Dirty Money, who was an African American gentleman, and he goes, "Ivan's the face. Make them hate you." So I just came out to the crowd with Dirty Money and said, "You're just jealous because your women would rather be with a couple of African American gentlemen like myself and Dirty Money." And they asked what part of Africa I'm from, and I said South Africa. And then Ivan came out with a Hogan-like pop doing the Elon Musk salute, and and got over like he was the biggest star and the biggest pop of the entire night.
Jesus.
Yeah, he worked Connecticut a lot in the probably late 90s, early 2000s, I think, and quite a bit actually. So, and I hadn't seen him in a number of years until last summer, which was just funny as hell.
So since you guys didn't ask me mine, I'm going to just tell you anyways, because it's the same as what Luthez said in the chat. Kevin Sullivan, man, that dude always gave me the Bobo Billies or whatever you call him. I didn't like Kevin Sullivan. I remember the old After mags. I remember perusing the swap meet and seeing the old like magazines from the like late 70s, early 80s. And these were, this guy was a collector and he was selling his magazines. And I'd bought a few of them before because of the cool photos on the cover. But there would be like Kevin Sullivan, and he would very much like have his eyes rolled back in his head and the black face paint, and Nancy next to him. And you're just like this is so weird and kind of scary, and she's hot, but good Lord. And it was very weird, and the whole dynamic of seeing Kevin Sullivan. And then when he came to, when I was watching, the NWA, WCW, he was the ringleader of the Varsity Club. He was like I don't even know what they called him back then, but, you had this demonic looking dude who was running like the Varsity Squad, the guys who were wearing Letterman's jackets. And it never really made sense to me.
They did refer to his on commentary that he did have amateur experience, collegiate experience. And that's the only thing that made sense about it, because he still kept coming out in the cloak and the, regular trunks and sort of pseudo-satanic gimmick, I guess you could say.
And yeah, and when you're a kid, right? Like when I was younger and I saw guys like, Rick Steiner, Mike Rotundo, and I loved Mike Rotundo from the US Express and WWF. So when I started watching NWA or WCW, I'm not even sure what it was at the time. it was such a cool, like, oh, I remember Mike Rotundo and he's wearing the Syracuse Letterman's jacket. Like, that's dope, dude. And then Rick Steiner with his University of Michigan jacket. Like, heck yeah. And Dr. Death with his Oklahoma University Letterman's jacket. Like, I was so into it. And then I think they kicked out Steiner for Dan Spivey, I think, if memory serves me. And it was, I mean, I remember loving that group, but like Sullivan always gave me the willies. And then you hear some of the stories, like I heard some of the stories later in life, because again, a lot of his work was in Florida and in the Mid-Atlantic, and I wasn't really privy to what he had done before his tenure with, you know, that NWA, Jim Crockett, WCW conglomerate, whatever you want to call it. And like, I guess he really was just this creepy dude. Like, I mean, it's all storyline, but people were really like, would protest his matches, and they would send letters to the promoters about not using him because he was demonic and all this stuff. And he's always kind of, he always gave me the willies, you know, may he rest in peace, of course.
The Willie Bowens?
But,
well, you know, the interesting thing about that is that if I'd probably say the same thing if I had known Kevin Sullivan, or if I got introduced to Kevin Sullivan at that time. The problem was I knew Kevin Sullivan from Georgia and his first run in Florida. And there he was a bodybuilder.
And a baby face.
He was also a baby face.
He switched back and forth between baby face and heel. Sometimes he was an arrogant heel. Sometimes he was a beloved baby face. They had him and Buzz Sawyer start a feud, and one of those, we need a feud. And so Buzz Sawyer like jumped him in the parking lot. But the idea back then was that Kevin Sullivan was a bodybuilder, and he would go do these bodybuilder competitions. And so they'd be talking about how he won second place or he won first place in some little Tennessee, you know, bodybuilding competition, and he was muscled or whatever. And the interesting thing was the gimmick in Florida that he started wasn't supposed to be a satanic one. He was supposed to be like an Eastern mystic. And two things happened. One, the Abner mags, although Abner didn't own them or run them, I don't know why they were called that. But they said something about Dusty was going to beat the devil out of Kevin Sullivan. And so Dusty actually picked up on that and then started using that thing. And so that's how it kind of evolved into this devil worshiping type thing. Although he never talked about the devil.
Oh, it was a Buddha Dean.
Yeah, he never talked about devil or Satan or anything like that. He kind of changed it. But yeah, he was originally supposed to be like an Indian, you know, from India, a mystic of that type. That was the original gimmick. And it just goes to show how when something catches, it catches.
And he had a period in WWF, I believe, too, in the later 70s. And I don't know if that ran through 19. Did it run into the 80s, Jaden?
I think it did run in the 80s, very early 80s.
The early championship wrestling episodes, I think, maybe.
Yeah, he went to Georgia in 81.
Yeah, so I think he was in WWW. Was it W? Was there extra W in there at that time? I can't remember.
I think so.
The time period drives me nuts, so I have no idea. He was in the F, basically, the Fed. So prior to, and then he got the F out and went to Georgia.
He wasn't alone getting that F out.
Yeah. I'm surprised he never returned. That's something I always wondered about, you know, through my, I guess, teens and stuff like that.
He was short.
That's true, too. But he had a gimmick to go along with it that could make up for it, I thought. You know?
Yeah, but he probably would have been more of a manager or something then, and who knows what they would have done with that, especially cartoony. I actually met him at a TWA event. I have two Kevin Sullivan stories. I met him at a TWA event, and I was talking to him, and he was coming out of the locker room, and he was just like talking to me about what was going on. And he put his arm on my shoulder, and his arms were so big and muscular, my knees buckled. just from the pure mass of his arms. Second, he took on Terry Funk at a Tri-State Wrestling Alliance show, and they fought in the crowd, and Terry Funk actually missed him. I can remember if Terry Funk, I think it was Terry Funk, missed him and hit me and separated my shoulder.
Oh,
Jesus.
If only
That's
I would have
the-
sued. I could have ran that company.
The Joel Goodhart TWA Tri-State.
Yeah,
Is what you're
Tri-State
referring to?
Wrestling Alliance, back the original one when it was actually worth something.
Yeah. Bob Smith from the Outdated Wrestling Hour / former PWI writer and editor has some great stories about going down there and covering them. We've talked about them numerous times. On his show, my show. That's a guy I talked to about that stuff.
It was great back in the day. They had the Wrestling Radio and the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance shows were great back then. Everybody always gives credit to ECW, but it was Tri-State Wrestling Alliance that started that whole push for that, and also Dennis Carluzzo with that Memphis influence into the
Northeast, basically.
Which was very different than what we were getting from the WWF. Very different, and even the NWA was very different.
You're talking about Wrestling Radio. Is that Richmond Cuso's Wrestling Radio? The one?
No, it's Joe Goodhart's Wrestling Radio.
Oh, Joel Goodhart's Wrestling Radio. Okay.
Wrestling Radio.
There was like 3 different shows on at the same time. Like Richmond Cuso had a show. He'd actually read what the Observer or whatever, and then he'd make up some stories. And so nobody, there was really, back then you couldn't find out just by punching the stories into the internet or anything like that. And then there was, of course, everybody knows John Arezzi's show was on at the time as well, which to me, that's like, I love listening to those old episodes.
Didn't Mike Lano have a wrestling radio show as well?
He definitely did. Yep. And he once in a while will appear on Evan Ginsberg podcast. I think at least he usually comes on and then will make an exit after an hour or so. Jay left. The host left the show. So.
Yeah. And Jay, oh crap, I just forgot his name. We were just talking about him. John Arezzi. No, John Arezzi. Mike. Yep. No, the other guy. He was talking about the show you were just talking about.
Richmond Cuso, John Arezzi, Evan Ginsberg.
Evan Ginsberg.
Yes.
Evan Ginsberg has a lot of great stories too. And if you ask him, he will tell you every single one of them.
Trust me, he posts them online. Are you friends with him on Facebook?
I think I am. Yeah.
Yeah, he posts besides his comedic judgment of the modern product, and he will definitely tell some great stories. I want to get his latest book. I have not had the opportunity to purchase it. So one of these days I'll remember to.
I used to have his newsletter too.
Yeah, I had
Wrestling Then and Now.
Yep, and that's that's the name of his show now. The podcast now is Wrestling Then and Now, but I think at least I could be wrong.
Any chance that I got here, you guys already finished Power?
We didn't start it yet.
Oh, man.
It's okay.
That's okay. Post show, I already invited DK and Jay, and I'm gonna invite you too, but there's going to be a nice summertime wrestling event at a barbecue place in New Jersey that I want to make sure I tell everybody about.
And when is this?
In June. I'll give you guys all the information.
Okay.
In June, I'm going to be in Aruba.
Aruba? Can I come?
Jamaica.
I'll tell you where we're staying. You could book your room.
Dude, your wife harassed me to come to my daughter's wedding. You guys can't invite me to Aruba?
I'll tell her later. I'll have to yell down the hallway. It's actually we're going for her birthday.
That's awesome.
Last year we went to Curacao for my birthday, and so it was like Thanksgiving time. And when we went, she's like, we are here, but I really wanted to go to Aruba. I go, why didn't we go to Aruba? She goes, it's your birthday, not my birthday. And I'm like, we could have gone to Aruba. I would have been fine with Aruba, Curacao. I mean, honestly, there's not a whole lot of difference for me.
Right.
But there's a huge flamingo population in Aruba, and our flamingos are very, as a totem animal for my wife. So I 100% will be taking our family to Aruba in June of next year.
What time?
Intentionally?
Yeah, it'll be like the first week of June, I think.
Well, then at least the second week of June open.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm not saying it can't work. I'm just saying.
Or actually, no, I'm sorry. I was mistaken. I was thinking you can come to that too, but I was actually thinking April.
April, I don't think I'm going anywhere yet.
April, there just happens to be an event in Glassboro, New Jersey at a certain university. And if there's ever a chance to get a bunch of three of you there, it would be the best opportunity to do so, to do an Alliance Guys podcast from that place.
I'm down.
That's not impossible. We'll see if it plays out. I'm supposed to be going to the Northeast sometime next year as well. And
what part of the Northeast? You say the Northeast. It's a very broad answer.
Well,
I'm still
like saying Texas.
Fair enough.
I'm trying to drag you to the New Haven pizza spots.
Well, and that's on my list too, right? At some point. But so the idea is that where Gotham Wrestling is running in New York, if they're still actively doing TV taping, I would like to. And again, this is if everything falls into place. Go to
it's not
New York.
Yeah.
Maybe catch a Yankee or Mets game. I don't care which one. I don't care. And then cross the border into Canada, meet up with Tim, and maybe go to a Blue Jay game, and maybe if it pans out, a Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling event. If it all aligns correctly, that's what the hope is.
Well, that Nyack where Gotham runs is 90 minutes from where I am, just for the record.
And we will definitely be meeting up.
I know I missed the last show. I want to make the next one. Like, this family, they always ruin my plans. I'll tell you that much. Why'd I get married?
Tell Dave to run on April 11th.
I don't think he picks and chooses when he runs. I think it's when the venue has dates available. And they're trying, I think they're going to run every month. That's what they're doing with Hollywood. And they're running in Hollywood, they're running one, because like it's, they have a deal with the company that owns the comedy clubs. So they do on Tuesday nights in Irvine, it's usually closed because people aren't going to comedy shows on Tuesday nights. So they'll do one taping in Irvine, and then the next taping they go to it's about 2 hours away, closer to where they used to run, and Oxnard. And so they go back and forth between Oxnard and Irvine for Hollywood tapings. And then Gotham will only be at Levity Live. And as long as the wheels keep going forward with that, it'll be a monthly event too. So
did those air yet?
No.
Or no? Okay. So keep an eye out, basically.
Yeah, I did get to see some of the footage.
Does it look nice?
Yeah, I mean, it's the venue is very similar to where the comedy club is set up similar to where they run in Irvine. So it kind of has that same look, but it's also a little bit different in the way that the setup is. So it also kind of feels a little bit emptier because of how they have to set it up. And I don't know how many people actually had at that show, but that was the first one. Let's hopefully they get more people at the next one.
Yeah, I saw pictures of the show. I saw pictures from the press. Mike Johnson was there.
Yeah,
Brian Solomon was there. A couple other people I knew were there to cover the event, and some of them might have been invited through Dave. And dude, it looked like it was a good time. Like it was an awesome time. So
are the results out there?
I think Mike Johnson had posted them the day after or the day of, the night of. I could be wrong about that.
And they used some guys that Jaden's familiar with. I mean, Ray Jazz was on the card.
Yep.
There's a few guys that they use that Jaden isn't a big fan of, like Drew Gulak, but it is what it is.
Brad Baylor was up there, WWAD talent. Richard Holiday was there, I think.
The 5150 were there defending the tag titles. The Big Mama was there defending her title. So I mean, and it's what's kind of cool about this, and this is what these are apple to oranges. This is the United Wrestling Network. This is the NWA. The NWA is focused more on producing a single TV show, where the NWA is focused on producing multiple TV shows. And they've had their struggles. Championship Wrestling from Arizona lasted for, I think, about 3 years, and shut down right around the pandemic. Championship Wrestling from Atlanta did not last very long. I think they did like 3 tapings total.
That's a shame.
Memphis.
I liked. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and Atlanta was pretty cool. They were at Center State.
I liked it. Yeah, I liked the setup of the show. Actually, both that and Arizona. I would watch Arizona each week when it was on. It was very entertaining product.
If I had just a little bit more finances, I would be Championship Wrestling from Arizona. Like, I think that's a market that is underserved, and I feel like they could do a lot of cool things there. A lot of the guys you see in Hollywood are from Arizona. Like there's at least 6 or 7 guys that are driving in from Arizona to Irvine or to Oxnard. And there's like another handful of guys who are driving in from Vegas. And it's kind of interesting. The United Wrestling Network, they don't use a lot of LA-based talent. There's some, Bad Dude Tito and Che Cabrera, the Wolf Zaddies. 5150 is LA-based now. But like the world champion is Jordan Cruz. He is also LA-based. But a lot of the guys are driving in from Arizona, Vegas, San Diego, Northern California. It's kind of an interesting dynamic. And yeah. So let's and then what I was saying is like between United Wrestling Networks, when Gotham finally does get off and running, then they have Memphis and they have LA. And LA airs in syndication in all parts of the in all kinds of markets across the country. So it's like this formula that Dave has. It's like, hey, Billy, come here. Let me show you something. There's a blueprint. Literally, there's a blueprint. You could literally, if him and Dave were in a good relationship, they would be on TV right now and it would be seen all across the country. It's like,
was that more on Billy than it is Dave? I'm guessing yes. I'm guessing yes.
Yeah. So there was a huge fallout after the results of the first Primetime Live, and everyone was kind of had taken the NWA had taken that hiatus, and Dave Marquez had this opportunity to do live TV that they were going to do pay-per-views from the Thunder Studios in Long Beach, California, and they were like, hey, let's bring some NWA talent on this. We'll make it a big deal. And NWA was pumping up this. They even did the 10 Pounds of Gold series from Mike Bennett and Nick Aldis for the 10 Pounds of Gold, and there were some timing issues. This was their first live pay-per-view for Dave Marquez's company, and it didn't go well. They had to cut some things, and it cut a significant amount from Aldis's match, and that guy got really upset and refused to work for the United Wrestling Network anymore, and that caused hard feelings between Dave and Billy. And Billy, sided with Aldis, which I think if it's your company, that's probably what you would do too.
Right.
But I think at the end of the day, Aldis was gone within a year after that, where, this relationship that Dave Marquez could have presented to the NWA, they could have been on TV in New York. They could have been on TV in Los Angeles. There's so many different markets that they could have been on if they had worked together. And that just never happened. So it's a shame, but that's what it is.
It that way sometimes, sucker.
Hey,
I thought
I'm having a
Marquez. I'm sorry, DK. I thought Marquez added a certain charm to Power with his face, his voice as part of the show. I thought
he was doing his best impression of Gordon Soley. He was trying to be your old pal Dave, your TV pal Dave, and he kind of brought the wholesomeness. If you ever met Dave Marquez, he's not necessarily a wholesome guy. He's a good guy, but he'll motherfuck anybody. He'll use those words. But when he's on TV, he's professional, and he's not good at calling matches. He's not a good commentator, but he is good at producing talent and getting talent over, and just putting him in that podium and allowing him to interact with the crowd and the wrestlers. And it really kind of had something that the NWA hasn't been able to replicate. Kyle Davis was okay, And I maybe even Kyle Davis is good, but I don't think he was better than Dave ever.
Yeah,
at that,
he's not.
that job.
Right.
What were you about to say, DK?
Before you were.
Oh,
that's my bad.
at one point, wasn't there going to be a Louisiana version of Championship?
Wasn't that Derby City? Or no?
So the master plan was that they were going to do it was basically they were filming segments for certain markets to appeal to that market. So like they were filming the show in Irvine, or at the time it was supposed to be Thunder Studios. They're going to film the show at Thunder Studios, and then they would have like a talent or a match that was geared specifically to the Louisiana crowd. So there was championship wrestling from, I don't think it was Louisiana, but basically that idea.
Baton Rouge or something
Gulf
like that.
Coast, I think it was championship wrestling from the Gulf Coast. They had
championship
wrestling from.
I just remember there was a controversy because the guy that was doing the ring announcing for SWE was also going to do the ring announcing for Dave, and SWE said, you got to pick one. And of course, SWE was gone within a year, and I don't think anything ever really got off the ground.
They were airing episodes of Championship Wrestling there, but it wasn't the original plan was that they were going to do like kind of a base, that they're going to do this base recording in the Thunder Studios, or it might have even been at the old Ocean View Pavilion, the old place, and they were going to do basically they were going to record most of the show, and then there'd be one or two matches that would be market specific, so that you could have like, hey, this is our show, but this is the main event. It's your guy. Like, let's say, for example, Gulf Coast, they would have had maybe Luke Hawk in the main event. They'd have Luke Hawk fly out and he would be in the main event of that match. That was kind of like the design. That was the plan. I'm not saying it was specifically Luke Hawk, but that was kind of the plan. And then they were going to do a Championship Wrestling Sunshine State, the same thing in Florida. They were going to do a Championship Wrestling Las Vegas. And this was the plan, and it didn't materialize. And it's the same thing for everybody. Like, nobody wants to work for free. Everybody wants to make something. But in the infancy of these things, before the deals are set, people have to work without the possibility of getting rewarded right away. And that's not appealing to me, and that's not appealing to a lot of people. So
I've been there before where, couldn't get paid up front or whatever, rewarded, whatever you want to call it. And, I've learned over the years that I can only do that for certain people. And, you know what I mean? People that give me my shot, because if not, then sometimes that reward's never going to come.
Yeah. And trust me, I'm sure there were people who did stuff that didn't get compensated for it. And that sucks.
Absolutely. It happens. It's part of the wrestling business, really, or any business, really. Yeah.
And I mean, long story short, there was I don't think I'm breaking any news here. They almost went out of business because of they lost the sponsorship deal with Car Shield.
Car Shield. Yep.
And from what I was told, and I don't know how much I'm supposed to say, but there was issues getting that sponsorship money, stuff that they were actually owed, to get it paid off. And so there was a point there where they couldn't even afford to film because they had no money. It was literally, and Dave owed a lot of people a lot of money for some time. I think he's up to date with everybody now, at least as far as what I've heard. But, there were some guys told him, hey, Dave, I can't work for you anymore because I'm not getting paid. And like, that sucks because like you've produced this talent, you've put so much work and effort, energy into a guy. And then he's like, yeah, but if that check isn't here, I'm not working, which, I mean, I get that too. You can't work for free. So it sucks, but that's the nature of the business. And again, when you're independent and you're not backed by a big company, these are kind of some of the risks that you take. And a lot of people might think that Dave is a little too ambitious. And I might even agree sometimes, but I think right now, if they can get the ball rolling with Gotham and with what they're doing in Memphis and with what they're doing in LA and Oxnard, I feel like that's a very good circuit for their champions. And I feel like that could be a good part to grow.
I think that area of New York also needs something like that as well, because there's not, to my knowledge, there's not a lot up there. You know what I mean? In that particular portion of New York, and there's a college town as well, so it'll bring in. You know what I mean?
What
So
I mean, in Jaden, I know Jaden has the most experience in promoting events, whether it be with Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators or other companies. And I've always thought that wrestling and colleges seem like it should be a golden fit. Jaden, is that accurate, or is that am I oversimplifying it?
I know when Dr. Zacconi promotes colleges and universities, they do really well at the college, but getting them out of it always seems to be a little bit harder. There was some crossover from Rowan and Dog when they ran the Max Fit Sports Center,
Okay.
but say the last Dog event did almost 600 people throughout the entire time that event ran that were watching that event through different times. And probably if they ran, say, a event in Glassboro right afterwards, probably 10 would have showed up from that 600.
yeah, that's something. I'm sorry, Jaden. Were you done? I'm sorry.
I think so.
You think so? But I don't want to be. I'm trying to be good and not interrupt anybody. I have a habit of doing that. I was talking to Paul Roma recently about this, and he runs, Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling, and I help out a lot there. I do commentary there as well. But he does shows during the summer at a brewery once a month. Then he does some shows at his at the school once a month as well. He goes, and there's literally no crossover. Like, he's trying to get the people to come to the building as opposed to the brewery, or try to other events. And the people that go to the brewery are specific to that brewery. You probably get 5 people that are just regulars that everybody knows, that he knows, or that I know, or what have you. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy to get the crowds to cross over from one venue to the other. It's for some reason it's very difficult, and the people that go to the training facility to watch them put on shows are people that are pretty much specific to just going there and hanging out and watching the show. It's not easy.
It is not easy being green, or pimping ain't easy either. And neither is promoting. So can we get Power over with? Because I got something I want to talk about.
Yeah, we can talk.
You want to talk about? Jaden's asking to talk about Power. That's
well, we're gonna have to do it
incredible.
anyway, and I don't want to be on here till like 11 o'clock at night. So I figured we'd get it done, and maybe I could talk about stuff that I think would be relevant to the NWA.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm just going to give a thumbs up or thumbs down, basically, or seeing that I was there. But I've discussed my opinions on these matches in the past. I think I did, at least. But
you did, but because you were there, you also have some insight. So we'll tie it all in real quick, because we normally start the show off with the Willie Bowen joke of the day. I did not see Willie Bowen's joke earlier in the live stream, and there's a chance that it doesn't pop up until we actually go live. So Willie, if you put it up earlier, I might have completely missed it. But here it is. When Tyrus takes a shower, he uses a push broom for a scrub brush.
That's what they do with elephants.
When you walk like an elephant, talk like an elephant. All right. So I got you, Willie. I got you, bro. I got you.
I was very, very upset with Fox Vineyard when I saw him last. He was wearing a Tyrus t-shirt.
Oh, son of a bitch.
He probably got it for free. That's one of my guess, but it must have been when he worked the NWA. They're probably, here, get rid of this garbage, take it.
Well, yeah, like, hey, thanks for helping out, setting up the ring. Here's a free shirt.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because I imagine that Danny Deals has lots of extra Tyrus shirts.
Probably
and
I'll give him
a pass because his girlfriend makes some really good cookies.
They probably overprinted Tyrus shirts expecting to sell them. That's the other thing.
If they didn't sell them at St. Louis, like, where else were they going to sell them? Like, there was, I will say this, as much as I don't like Tyrus, and I never have, and I never will, he did bring his own audience to that 73rd anniversary, or 75th anniversary show. The last one they did in St. Louis at the Chase, he brought people there. People were there to see him. I don't think they ever watched wrestling. I don't think they even knew that he was champion, but they were there to see him. And when he lost, the whole crowd went silent, and us NWA fans were like, "Hell yeah!" And they were like stunned, like our guy lost.
It's all those Fox watchers.
Yep.
I was thinking it was probably the local barbecue joints and stuff that he and it was all the different places that he was eating at. He paid so much money for them. That's the least they could do.
You got a point.
All right, so power.
All right, so Power. Again, let's real quick talk about where they're running. This was the Paramount Theater. No, Paramount.
The Paramount.
The Paramount.
I don't think there's anything else after it. I could be wrong. And by the way, I didn't know until watching this episode that Brian Idol was from Long Island. That makes me hate Long Island. So.
There's plenty of reasons to hate Long Island.
Long before that.
Oh, there's plenty of reasons to hate Long Island. Yes, indeed. But this was actually a really nice city. I want to go back because there was a great pizza place I wanted to go to. There was a lot of stuff that I really wanted to look into there, but I didn't have the time. By the time we got out of there, it was too damn late and everything was closed. But it was really nice, and it didn't look like creepy or scary or anything. It looked like I think it was a college town, if I remember. This portion of Huntington or what have you. So, wait, hold on. Did he just say I bought a? Oh, an NWA. Yeah, I got one of those too, in the NWA grab bag, and it sat in my dresser, and eventually the Goodwill got it. So,
what was in it?
The tire shirt.
The tire shirt.
Oh,
you're not reading the screen? Jeez. Man.
Well, I thought it was a mystery grab bag. I thought they made him put a different shirt in.
No.
Apparently, the mystery was who's going to buy this for $20.
Yeah, no, I think that I got 4 T-shirts in that thing, and I kept 2 of them. So,
well, if they were Tyrus size shirts, if you have a sailboat, you have a sail.
That's look. I know I'm big. All right.
We're not putting this on you. We're putting this on Tyrus.
I may very well wear the same size Tyrus shirt, the shirt that Tyrus does. It's very possible.
No, Tyrus is bigger.
No.
I'm not.
All right.
I've stood next to you, and I've stood like 10 feet away from Tyrus, and let me tell you, Tyrus is 3 times the size of anyone on this live stream. That's for sure.
You made me. That's all of us together too.
Yeah, dude is big. Dude is, and look, if he was mobile and that big, we're talking about a different story. If
that mobile thing is questionable because there was like 1 or 2 times where when he first came in, he looked like he needed to hold on to the ropes when he was wrestling. Like,
yeah, no,
just to stand. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I remember seeing Andre, wrestle some of his last matches, and it was rough. It's hard to look at Andre when he was towards the decline of his career.
Yeah,
and that's what watching Tyrus was at the height of his NWA World Title run. It's like, and that's why I absolutely hated it because, look, if the guy could go in the ring, if he was the beast that they like pretended he was, then sure, I'll shut up about it. I don't have to like the guy to appreciate what he could do in the ring. But the dude was terrible. Like he wasn't even. He
was winded walking to the ring, and that's only up 3 steps or whatever. He was sweating like crazy just walking to the corner of the ring. It was bad.
I remember noticing him walk up the steps when he first got there. They kind of learned not to actually put the camera on him during this time, but when he was first there, camera would be on him as he walked up the steps, and it was hard to watch. It was hard for him to get up them. And look, at somebody who's blown out both his knees and to this day has knee issues.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
All right. So let's talk about this week's power because thankfully Tyrus is a distant memory and he can't hurt us anymore.
It's also a distant planet.
Show me where the Tyrus touched you. So the show kicks off with the King Bee match. Now, you have to kind of go back in time for the last time they used the King or Queen Bee format. And the last time it was when Angelina Love had teamed with Max the Impaler and Natalia Markova against Pretty in Power, which was Ella Envy, Kenzie Page, and Roxy. So it's been a while since that format has been used, and they determined that this would be the King Bee would become the number one contender for the World Junior Heavyweight title. And I kept thinking, like, man, what a bunch of studs they have in that ring right there. Because, like, personally, I really like Alex Misery. Lev is starting to grow on me because that guy's looking better every time I see him. Crazy Steve is so much better than I think I knew. Every time I watch him,
That's how I feel about him. Like, when he was in TNA, like, I didn't really give him no mind. And towards the end of his TNA run, I was like, hey, he's actually pretty good. And in his couple NWA appearances that I've seen, this dude's really shining and adding something to the brand. And I really like the NWA should be using him way more because I think that he can be a very vital part of the Power brand.
And I really hope there was some foreshadowing going on during this match because there were some things that I got excited about thinking in the future. And then on the other side of the ring, you had, Damian Fenrir, who looks like a stud. I forgot his Curtis. What was his first name? Luke Curtis.
Luke Curtis and Slade.
Now, Luke Curtis, he has really gotten in better shape since the first time we saw him in the NWA. And like, I don't think he was genuinely a junior heavyweight until now. Fenrir looks freaking amazing. He looks like the future of the company, and Slade looks like he's the current present of the company. Like, it was a pretty good group of guys to have in this match. And they even acknowledged that Slade probably just barely got in underweight. He was probably 226, and had to, go run for a block or two so that he can make weight, because that dude is so jacked and looks so just intimidating. He looks great. And then the match itself, I feel like at least the 6-man tag was kind of all over the place. It was also kind of earmarked by, Slade was just kind of bullying his tag team partners. Like, he just came in when he wanted to. Damian Fenrir had that stalling suplex. I think he was holding Lev up. And then Slade just hits him in the chest, tags himself in, gets into the match. And so as we get through the match, the other part I was hoping that foreshadows is that Crazy Steve and Slade, two people who have, Crazy Steve has a vision impairment, Slade has a hearing impairment. But I think, knowing now that we know that Slade is the World Junior Heavyweight Champion, that I could totally get behind a Slade versus Crazy Steve feud for that World Junior Heavyweight title. Like, that's all I kept thinking about every time I saw them interact in the ring. And then also Damian Fenrir, I feel like, looks really good too. And, putting Alex Taylor in the mix with those four guys, as well as Curtis and Misery, like that's a very interesting dynamic. I feel like the junior heavyweight division certainly has got a shot in the arm. Slate seems to have a lot of heat with his tag team partners. Lev looks like he's improved a lot. The one thing I disliked about Slade, because I think he did everything else perfectly, but the whole putting on the straps, taking off the straps, putting the straps back on, like, come on, man. It was funny once. It was overkill by the third or fourth time. But everything else Slade did was golden. I also really liked Misery's dive. I know it was like kind of unexpected and not really necessary, but it just shows to how chaotic and deranged that Misery is, that he'll take an opportunity to jump off something because he likes to jump off things, and that's kind of his mentality. The match ends with with Fenrir. No, with Slade getting the pin. I think it was Slade. Now I don't remember.
Slade got the pin in the tag match, yeah.
Yeah. And it was I thought it was a really good match, and I enjoyed it. So I'll go with you first, Rick, because you were there and in person. What did you think of that match?
Live, this was very confusing because they just said that it was like an elimination match or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they said all three standing at the end were going to. So it was very confusing to me at first. Watching this back on television, it gave me a better sense of what the hell is actually going on with commentary and them actually explaining what was going on. So it was basically one team wins, that's who they meet each other, which was not explained live. So I just thought that was kind of a weird concept.
Yeah.
To have, say it was a team of baby faces, team of heels, whatever, they win the match and then they're going at it. And my personal opinion is that only Billy would come up with something like this. right? Like some sort of concept that was kind of left field and made no sense. However, I really kind of did enjoy the tag match, as chaotic as it may have been at times. I really do like a lot of the talent that's involved in this match. I'm really getting into this Fenrir fella.
Yeah.
And Spencer Slade, I really, really like a lot. I particularly seem to enjoy wrestlers that do have amateur credentials, coming from a background myself. I really like Crazy Steve and Alex Misery. Please, out of the corner, I saw my nemesis, my arch nemesis, Gags the Gimp. Get his ass out of there, please. This was this. I gotta say that this episode, it seems this is the first episode I've watched since they started airing the episodes from the 77. I wasn't here last week, so I wasn't able to watch it. So they what ended up I think that it really transferred well to the television compared to live. I think I tell you, it didn't look that big in the arena. It's actually quite small, but it looks like it reminded me of watching some sort of old school NWA television product from like the 1980s, late 80s, like the setup, the building, etc. And it was enjoyable overall, everything that I saw here for this match, and like the layout of the way the arena looked on television as well. I hope that was a decent answer. But
that's a great answer. So, DK, what did you think of this match? Just the tag team match so far?
A little bit clunky. I thought it was weird that one team was like an actual team and the other team was just like 3 individuals. Didn't make a lot of sense to me how they set that up. But yeah, it was okay. Nothing to write home about, but it was okay.
And then Jaden?
I thought it set up a lot of things. I am looking forward to Slade versus Crazy Steve. I'm looking forward to Slade versus Fenrir. I'm looking forward to Slade versus their partner, whose name I just now can't think of. What was their partner's name?
Luke Curtis.
Luke Curtis. Yeah, I don't know why I can think of his name. By the way, Luke Curtis was an Ohio Valley wrestler. He's part of the Wrestlers documentary too, and he was on Ohio Valley television for a while. I think he's actually the boyfriend of Tiffany Nieves. I'm not sure, but I think he is.
Got it.
But again, I look forward to those matches. Even Lev is starting to look good. That's the best he's looked both in the ring and physically.
Yes, that dude has been taking notes. He's been listening to us.
He starts taking, unlike Carson Drakey is what Beta Alanine is, obviously. But and of course Alex Misery. Everybody in that match, I'm looking forward to face each other, especially against I think a couple of them make a good television matches. A couple of them make a good signature live event matches for the new junior heavyweight champion. Spoiler alert. So I'm looking forward to that. And the dive. What I liked about the dive was Crazy Steve held them, and they weren't looking at Misery. They were fighting Steve off a little bit when Misery hit them with that dive. That was different. That was something that was really cool too. I like that because this wasn't just, let's stare at him as he jumps on us.
Yeah, I do feel like they worked that moment a lot better. We didn't see everyone just kind of wait.
Yeah,
like you're right. They literally were working through it. So I do agree with you on that. All right. So then we get the commercial, and then we have Idol announcing the Idol Cup or the Heartthrob Invitational, whatever it is. This promo kind of made me laugh because, he did a pretty good job of putting himself over, and the importance of this tournament or this cup, whatever it's going to be. But then he's literally saying, and a shot for the NWA National Championship as they show the 10 pounds of gold on the camera. I'm like, wait, that's not the right belt. What, DK?
So I did notice that.
And that, like, it that kind of ruined the whole thing for me. I'm like, how? That's such an egregious mistake. Like the national title, it's a very different belt. It looks very different from the 10 pounds of gold. Why would you even show the 10 pounds of gold if it's not for the world's heavyweight championship? And I know that I'm nitpicking, right? But these are the little things that somebody should have fixed in post. I mean, I'm sure they didn't have that clip ready when he cut that promo. I'm sure they put it in afterwards, and somebody wasn't paying attention and put the wrong title in there. So I thought that was in very bad taste, and it looked really terrible to me.
I bet you with Idol, it probably was supposed to be for the National Wrestling Alliance title, and he just forgot the part Wrestling Idol, the Wrestling Alliance part.
Well, he did point out I was the very first national champion, so he was talking about the national title. But
Or he just could have not been paying attention to what they told him.
maybe that's it too. Who knows?
Of
Of
he
course.
wasn't the first national champion.
Say that again.
Said he wasn't even the first national champion.
But don't tell him that, because he'll tell you he was. Anyways, it was a good look. It was a good little moment to have a match for next week. But one of the things that I feel like was missing from the 77 and really all of the anniversary shows, and it's something that I would like to see come back, is, you know, when the territories, long before Billy Corgan was doing these anniversary shows, you had the board of directors producing this NWA anniversary show. And when they'd go to that territory, yes, you would have the world heavyweight champion being defended and the world tag team champions, and really any of the world titles would be defended, and their big regional titles would be defended. But you would also have a matchup featuring guys from NWA Texas or NWA Chicago or NWA WLW or NWA Albuquerque. And I'm not saying that everyone in every company deserves to be showcased, but like maybe the 77, instead of giving me a bunch of, like, maybe I don't need a TV title match because this is like supposed to be a bigger event. Maybe save the TV titles for Tampa and put in a showcase match that showcases what's happening in St. Louis. You know, show me Carson Drake versus oh gosh, what's the guy's name? Carmelo. What is it, Jay? I saw it a minute ago. Give me a second. I'll find it. Or maybe not. I just had it on the screen a minute ago. Camaro Jackson. So Carson Drake versus Camaro Jackson for the WLW championship. Maybe that would have been a better way to go, as opposed to having so many of these matches that, you know, we didn't need a number one contenders match for the junior heavyweight title. That wasn't necessary for the anniversary show. And I kind of wish they'd go back to that. You know, DK, Jaden, you guys were both very much involved with the NWA during those times. Do you agree with me? Disagree with me?
I don't necessarily agree with you. I don't mind seeing the regional championships, but I think if you're going with the 76, I understand, because they did have, like, the Starcade had a bunch of championships from around the country they worked with, but the NWA has enough people right now that they don't get enough television time on. I don't mind, say, if they're going to do something like Tour of New York, to have the NWA New York champion in, if there is one, or if they go to do one from Chicago, a signature live event for Chicago, have that. But I don't think there's everything else, because there's already too much going on, and there's already a lot of talent that just doesn't get featured enough.
That's fair. I just got roasted by a friend of the show, Ruby Reyes, on TikTok. She said, "Oh, look, Kevin Owens has his own podcast."
Ruby Reyes, is that the retro wrestling fan's daughter? Nick Santi? Crap.
No.
Are you
Reyes.
sure?
Yeah, I'm positive. Ruby Reyes trained out here in Southern California.
Oh, different person. Different person. Sorry, Ruby. Sorry. Was thinking of somebody different.
Best friend of the show. I said friend of the show. Best friend of the show.
Frenemy of the show. Gotcha.
Ruby was out in Vegas wrestling with a promotion that doesn't have ties to the NWA, but they're on the same network. So, anyways.
Wow.
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 Oh, I got you. Yeah, it took me a second for it to register. Sorry, I've had brain issues this past week.
That's fine. Reyes is awesome. I love Reyes.
I've seen her. I do remember her. Yeah, now. Yeah, it's...
I put her over, and she sent butterflies, so I appreciate that too.
Ooh.
But even without the butterflies, I love Race. She has a spot on this podcast or any podcast I do whenever she wants. All she has to do is ask. All right, that's enough being super sweet on Ruby Rays. Let's talk about wrestling. And so, Jaden, you say that you don't think that there's a need for more territory showcases during the anniversary show. DK, what's your take?
Yeah, I basically agree with Jaden.
If they're going to do a highlight of that, they should just take the best matches from these things and put them on YouTube like a Pro Wrestling USA style format.
Okay, I guess that's
love
fair.
Jaden's thought process. I really do, Jaden. Love your thought process when it comes to that stuff.
Buy the NWA and hire me to run it.
Working on
when Billy sells it dirt cheap because nobody's watching anymore, no problem.
Well, we had our chance. We really did. We should have just got some sort of rich investor to jump in on it.
I'll just sit back and watch. I'll buy it and let you guys run it.
There it is.
I don't want to get yelled at for ruining it any further. So Billy's done that on his own.
I don't think we could. I don't think we could ruin the NWA.
It came close this week. I think we just had a really big scare this past week with the rumors of Vince Russo joining. I was ready to never turn it on again.
These two guys.
Luckily, it went in a whole different direction.
The rumors started breaking on Sunday evening, and I'm out to dinner with my lovely wife. We're having our 12th anniversary celebrating. We're having Cubanos and some mom and dad drinks. And I get messages on my phone, and it's going crazy. Now, I had someone a couple weeks ago tell me, hey, did you hear Russo is rumored to be in the NWA? I was like, no, Billy doesn't have money for that. Nor would he ever let anyone.
I think that Russo will work cheap now. He was working for Rocky Mountain Pro, which, just a local indie, wherever the fuck that is.
Colorado.
Ooh. Yeah, Colorado. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I think that he'll get paid slightly more from Billy, maybe a couple ham sandwiches.
Well, then these two guys are messaging and nope, we're done. I'm done. I'm done. Nothing to do with the NWA anymore. And I was like, tranquilo, Wapo. Hold on. This isn't even confirmed to be true yet. Let's just hold on. But I couldn't really get into it because, it's my anniversary. And I'd rather look at my wife in a dress than talk to these two guys about wrestling. I'm sorry.
Yes, I know your priorities are out of whack.
But thankfully, cooler heads prevailed, and Brian Idol finally spoke up at the 11th hour to say these aren't true.
Thank you, Brian Idol.
Yeah, that's the first time I was ever happy to hear Brian Idol say that he's still very much a part of the creative of the NWA.
I will now show him some respect.
Give him a high five when you see him. All right.
I will.
So then we get the continuation of this match, where it becomes a triple threat match for the number one contendership. And I'm sorry, I forgot. There was also the Carson Drake promo where he spoke to his Aunt Linda, who happens to be married to Uncle Vince. Like, what are we doing here, guys? Come on. Like, that's too on the nose, I think.
The worst part of that is when it's had say hi to Uncle Vince or something like that, because Vince and Linda probably haven't talked to each other in who knows how many years.
That's for sure.
It's been quite a few, yeah.
And so it teased the introduction of a family member of Carson Drake, LJ. And I think we've seen LJ in advertisements now, but now we know his backstory, his lore. He will be a part of the Idol Cup or the Heartthrob Invitational, whatever they're calling it. And Carson Drake says pretty clearly, I make no promises, but he can have an opportunity to wrestle for the national title. And I kept thinking, why didn't Carson Drake get himself that opportunity to wrestle for the national title? He's doing a tag team match against the Holy Grail that's going to do nothing for him in terms of putting him. That's your little guy?
That's my little guy. He's going to bed now. Say goodbye. Good night.
Good night.
I'll see you later, bud. Sorry, guys.
So, no worries. So it was. My girls will pop on all the time, so no problem with showing kids.
He will not listen to me when I say don't talk to me when I'm on the show. It still comes up as it tries a full conversation.
Well, the truth is, you just say, "Don't talk to me," and so he doesn't understand the difference between the shout.
Sorry to interrupt yet again, Jay.
No, it's all good.
So
this is what I like about the podcast when we get things. We're talking about wrestling and the NWA, and we're going through this. So I feel like this is good content.
Yes.
So now we have an introduction to LJ. We'll know who he is. We'll see him next week, and that'll probably be managed by either Carson Drake, Aaron Stevens, or a combination of the both. So then we get Fenrir and Curtis and Slade in the triple threat match. The two partners of Slade double team him right off the bat. And then we kind of get an homage to Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat as they keep a sequence of near fall attempts with roll-ups and fancy ways of pinning their opponent for a good minute or so. And I kind of enjoyed that. I like that they're trying to take advantage of, the confusion and, hey, if there's one guy out of the ring, here's my chance to get the victory. So they took a series of near fall attempts between Curtis and Fenrir. And then Slade gets back in that ring and he's able to grab onto Fenrir, who's holding on to Curtis, and does this amazing suplex, which launches Curtis like into the air, like insane. And it was one of the cooler spots. I thought it looked pretty good. And as I'm watching this, I'm like, I used to think Slade was just like a Kurt Angle kind of, not a parody, but an homage to Kurt Angle. And in reality, I think he's probably 2 parts Kurt Angle to 1 part Taz, because he'll get in there and start throwing people around like Taz used to do in the old ECW days.
Right.
And then Fenrir connects with a buckshot lariat that looked pretty good. I still think his is maybe third out of, first you have Logan Paul, obviously, and then you have Adam Page, and then Damian Fenrir, I think, in terms of the buckshot lariat. And then Fenrir has this drop kick that is just beautiful. He gets so high in that drop kick. I mean, it was pretty dope. Fenrir gets the win when he does this float over, like leapfrog float over into a powerbomb razor's edge type maneuver. It was kind of interesting. It looked really dicey there at the end of the match, like maybe he was going to botch it, but he got it clean. Got the clean victory, 1, 2, 3. So Damian Fenrir wins the number 1 contendership and is the King Bee at the 77. Jaden, I know you're a big fan of Slade. What did you think of this match?
I enjoyed it again. Again, there was some sloppiness a little bit here and there, but it was less than the tag match, and all 3 did look pretty good. I think Curtis didn't get as much shine as he needed, but I do like the match, and Fenrir has impressed me, and Curtis has impressed me in the past, and has looked good there, and Slade looked really good. So I think, again, this just further makes me want to look forward to the championship defenses of Spencer Slade in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Rick, what did you think of the match? Or DK, doesn't matter.
Give it to DK.
Go for it, DK.
For a 3-way, it was a decent match. And like Jaden said, there was a little bit of sloppiness, but I could get over that. What was important was the right person won. That's what was important.
Fenrir won. You wanted Fenrir to win?
Jay, I will reach through this thing and take your hat off.
Is that a yes?
I thought you were a Slade guy, so I was confused.
The right guy won.
Okay.
He's not wrong, though, because we knew Slade was going to get the shot later. So I'm assuming that's going to be a TV match. And I think if that was a TV match, Fenrir is a bigger television match for the tapings. And then the Signature Live events, Slade has been around longer and more known. So he's bigger for those type of events.
Yeah.
So I see, you can see that.
Yeah. The right guy won.
Okay. And then, Rick, your thoughts?
It was enjoyable. It was basically, I just considered I don't really consider it two separate matches. It's just a continuation of the previous match. You know what I mean? They did what it was supposed to do. It was somewhat enjoyable, but not my most favorite thing on earth. You know, it was pretty good. It did what it was supposed to do.
I don't feel like there was anything overly offensive in any of the matches this week, so I was okay. I enjoyed it. It was good to me.
I'm sure as you see 77, I'm sure you'll find the offensive stuff in the weeks to come.
Sure.
So,
all right. So moving on. Next up, we have Kerry Morton foreshadowing himself in his promo, speaking about Hammerstone, and yeah, he cost Hammerstone that match, but because that's what brothers do, and the Southern Six are brothers, and it was a team effort for Silas Mason to get the victory over Hammerstone when you had both men flank the other side of the ring. So it was kind of and then he also said, I always have my boys' back, implying that they should always have his back too. And what we see later in the show, that's not exactly what happens. Then we have Kenzie. This is the one like real goofy segment of the show. There was another one.
It's less and less, I guess, as the shows go on. This is less than previous shows.
This is proof somebody is hearing us. Somebody is listening to what we're saying.
I told you, Billy's not on commentary, so somebody's listening to us. If they continue to hear us complain and rip Billy apart on commentary, they've got to be listening.
Maybe they are. Maybe they are. But we get Kenzie back at the Henry estate, and Kenzie's having words with her papa. And she says straight up, no, if I have to look stupid, they're going to look stupid too. And I'm like, well, mission accomplished. Y'all look dumb. Then essentially Joe Galley's there with the camera to have both Hunter and Kylie admit that they don't have feelings for one another and to put an end to the rumors that those two are dating or a couple or anything else. We were talking slightly about this before the show. Rick, the air is clear now. They're no longer a couple. Are you going to be able to sleep tonight? Are you going to be okay with this?
I mean, I wasn't even giving two shits about it, but I just want to know, out of the segments or the interviews, whatever, where's did Kerry Morton look particularly tan in his segment? Does he go to the same tanning salon as our president?
He did look very tanned, and
yes.
EC3 looked very tan, but I'll talk about that.
Yeah, that's EC3. That's something we've seen as time goes on. But
I feel like Kerry knew that he was going to have a match with one of the best body guys in the business, so he wanted to look as good as he could. Mm-hmm. And I do feel like Kerry hit the gym. Like I'm not saying he's in great shape, but he looked in better shape at this match than he did from the Tampa tapings that I saw him at.
Mm-hmm. Kept referring to him as a heavyweight, that he made heavyweight and throughout the match. I said, there is no way on God's green earth that he's made that he's gained. He looks just as skinny as he's ever has.
DK, will you now be able to sleep at night knowing that Kylie and Hunter are just friends?
No.
Sorry.
Because my whole concern on this garbage is it's not the end of this garbage.
No.
Might be the end of this story. And even that I'm not positive about. But yeah, no. Blow it all up. Blow it all up.
Jaden, do I even need to ask you?
I didn't even watch it. I just skipped forward.
Good for you. All right. So that's the first part of Power. I took a lot of notes this week. Now we get the Holy Grail promo. And this was actually, look, Pastor CeeLo is kind of growing on me as part of the NWA, dichotomy. Him, EC3, PB Smooth. I feel like I'm kind of confused as to what they're doing with EC3, but apparently the tag team division is going to be for him for a while. And, PB Smooth and Pastor CeeLo being the voice, I'm all right with it. And the fact that EC3 lets Pastor CeeLo be the voice, again, I'm all right with that. And he spoke about, because he's not bad either. Like, Pastor CeeLo is pretty good on the mic. And he gets into that, the Holy Grail is putting everyone on notice, not just the tag division, but everybody on the roster is getting on notice. And I think they did a good job of putting themselves over real quick. PB Smooth didn't say anything, which was perfect. And EC3 said very little. Again, allowing Pastor CeeLo to do what Pastor CeeLo is supposed to do, which is put those boys over. So I thought it was a pretty good promo. Do you guys have anything you want to add to that?
Not at all.
Nope.
All right.
No, thank you.
Then we get Kerry versus Hammerstone. Kerry's entrance, he's flanked by his boys in the Southern Sixth, Alex Taylor and Thrillbilly. And first of all, Thrillbilly's rocking some golden pants, and that's pretty out of this world. They look to be a cohesive unit. You're like, yep, that's the Six. Hammerstone's going to have his hands full tonight, and that's not what happened at all. I'm actually surprised. I was really surprised. I felt like Hammerstone took too much of Kerry Morton's offense. I feel like this should have been a much more one-sided match. Like I felt like Hammerstone should have slaughtered Kerry Morton.
Considering the size difference between the two, absolutely.
And I've seen
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry. No, Hammerstone looked insane. Like, he just looked like he's more ripped than he ever has been.
And he looked good, right? And I feel like he looked good, but I'm also thinking at the same time, like, I've seen Hammerstone working for promotions like GCW, and I've seen him wrestle a lot smaller guys and give up way too much offense to smaller guys. I don't know what Hammerstone's like. Maybe he's just a chill guy and doesn't care, but I am surprised he isn't more protective of his spot, and I'm surprised he's willing to give
That's the way of the business these days. It seems that smaller guys will have control. Look at somebody like Wrecking Ball Legursky.
Yeah.
He gives up way too much for a guy his size. I just did a show with him recently, and I love the guy. Don't get me wrong. But he wrestled 3 guys. Each guy looked like the size of a pencil, literally. And he gave them way too much, even though they were triple teaming him and stuff like that. It's just like, but in reality, all you had to do was sit on him, and then it was over.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's guys like that, and that's like the modern era. I think Vince started it in like the later 90s, earlier 2000s by making bigger guys look like a small guy could whoop their ass. And it's unfortunate. It's going to happen everywhere now. And Hammerstone's going to just be a victim of that.
I feel like it waters him down a little bit. But,
absolutely.
The offense that he did get was pretty powerful. Like, there was a shot where Kerry gave him a forearm, and he just kind of like absorbed it, and he just ate it. And Kerry was panicking because he didn't know what to do. Also, early in the match, Kerry attacked Hammerstone right off the bat, but then Hammerstone literally picks him up, and you hear Kerry squealing like a little schoolgirl. That was pretty epic too, because that's what Hammerstone should cause. He should cause fear and chaos when he's in the ring. Everyone should be afraid. And so he the match itself was, I feel like it was a pretty good match, but like, I just think that, for the former MLW World Heavyweight Champion, I feel like he gave too much to Kerry. At one point, Kerry has a near fall. You think it's going to be over. He had that roaring elbow to the back of Hammerstone's head, and I'm like, holy shit, dude, he's going to win. He's going to get a clean victory over Hammerstone. It was only good for a 2 count, and he pops up and he starts calling for the 6 to come down and help him. And this is where it gets kind of interesting, because, he was just talking about how they're brothers and he would do anything to help Silas win a match. He'd do anything to help AT win a match, and these guys are nowhere to be found. And so then nobody shows. Hammerstone hits the Nightmare Pendulum, gets the 1, 2, 3. The right guy should have won. I felt like he should have gotten way more offense and taken a lot less offense. I'll go with you first, DK. What did you think about this one?
Well, any match in which Kerry Morton screeches like a Japanese schoolgirl is a good match as far as I am concerned.
Fair.
Any match where he hit the canvas so many times, I thought he might actually go through it. From Hammerstone beating him, I think it's a good match. Now, I understand your criticisms. And the only reason I am going to slightly disagree is the idea that Kerry Morton is supposed to be a top wrestler in the company. And so, I mean, if we go simply by the fact that Hammerstone is huge, it looks like he's about 270 pounds, and Kerry Morton looks like he's 270 pounds of solid muscle, and Kerry Morton's about 120 pounds of flab. I mean, I see when looking at him the idea that, yeah, that shouldn't be any clothes. But if the idea is that Kerry Morton's supposed to actually be a top wrestler, he's got to be able to get some kind of offense in. I mean, looking at that, Dominic Mysterio shouldn't be having some competitive matches that he's had recently.
Sure.
You know, and stuff like that. And so it's just like, of course, now they got him wrestling guys more size. But, yeah, you know, Rusev.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have the offense against Rusev that he's had. And even if he is cheating to win, he's still able to do something. I mean, there were several times that Hammerstone no-sold whatever Kerry was doing.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I enjoyed the match because I enjoyed the beating and the screeching and the flab flying everywhere. It made me a happy man.
Jaden, your thoughts on the match?
I agree and disagree.
Okay.
I don't mind a smaller guy beating a bigger guy, like if it's done like Tully Blanchard used to do. Tully Blanchard used to get his ass kicked constantly, but then he would do something sneaky and underhanded or lucky in some cases, and then do things that made sense on his offense to make the guy sell. You know, but beforehand and during the comeback, then he would get his ass kicked and bump really well. And Tully wasn't a small guy. He was the smallest horseman, but he wasn't a small guy. But he just got his ass kicked and people enjoyed that. But he didn't get his ass kicked so much that people were satiated by get his ass kicked. He always made it so you wanted to see him get his ass kicked again. And I think that's where Kerry Morton should specialize in this, especially against the match against Hammerstone, is Hammerstone should have came in, beat him like he owed him money, beat him like a government mule, said, "Where's my money, bitch?" And then Kerry Morton got lucky or a missed spot or some kind of cheating and then choked him and braked his eyes and slammed his head into the outside ring post and beat him into the guardrail and just pounded on him and wore him down and chipped away and chipped away and chipped away till he finally gets down to one knee. Then he finally sells a one big bump, and then he's choking him while he's down, and he's doing all the stuff to be sneaky and underhanded and yelling at the crowd at the time and getting the heat. And then Hammerstone gets a little hub spot in, and then he cuts him off there, and then he finally gets that big thing in and beating him, and then right away he does something real quick underhanded and calls the Southern Six, maybe the ref bump or something, and they don't come out, and then Hammerstone hits that big finisher for a big pop. That would have been a better way to put that match, in my opinion. But yes, Hammerstone was giving too much, but that's modern wrestling, and that's what I think is in charge of the people in charge of the company, why they do such a thing. If you're that big, it should be put out. If you're going to put somebody that big against somebody small, it has to be structured in a certain way to mean something, so it doesn't take away from the bigger guy like Hammerstone, and obviously the one who has the more potential to be the bigger challenger for the world heavyweight title.
Real quick, I do want to point out our good friend of the show, Ruby Reyes, who's on our TikTok right now. She just said Psychology 101. So I feel like she agrees with you on that. That if the story makes sense, then it makes sense. Rick, what did you think of the match?
Overall, I enjoyed it. I enjoy watching Hammerstone quite a bit, provided it's not in GCW. Taking firecrackers on a necktie. Kerry Morton has grown on me quite a bit. Still find him somewhat annoying. But, it's his father that I really love. This match overall, I think at the live event, it was one of the better matches live. It was enjoyable, and the crowd was kind of on fire throughout the whole thing, if you were there. So, which I guess that's what counts, right?
Yeah.
So it was a good match. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
All right, so that takes us to back another promo with Stevens and Drake. My notes for this were just, and real quick, Jaden Reyes did agree with you 100%. I just didn't really like this promo with Stevens and Drake. I don't really understand the pairing either, because Carson Drake, although I don't believe in him as a competitor, he's not. It's not hard for him to cut a promo. It's not hard for him to get in front of the camera and try to, present who he is. I don't feel like that's an obstacle for him. I don't think he's particularly great at it, but I don't feel like he is the problem. And then putting him with Stevens, who is almost essentially there to produce talent, I feel like the pairing is a mismatch. Like Stevens doesn't, or Drake doesn't really need Stevens. Stevens doesn't really need Drake. I feel like Stevens should be working with guys who, like a Fenrir, who we haven't seen cut a promo yet, or with Slade or Mondo, who both of them are hell of a talents, but maybe haven't had the best of promos since they've been in the NWA. I just don't really like the pairing, so I just kind of went eh. And then right after that, we had Markova and Idol walking down the boardwalk, the pier, whatever it is. I got to be honest, Brian Idol sounded intoxicated. He was slurring his words, and I don't know if that's just how he talks in general. I've never been a huge Brian Idol fan, but he's trying to encourage Markova, pointing out that how many times has she got a shot at the world title and hasn't been able to win it? And the way Markova was so nonchalant about her answers, I kind of felt like maybe she should have been more pissed off at what Idol was asking her. I don't know. I'm not an acting coach. I just thought that maybe that they could have done that a little bit differently. The bizarre part of this is when Idol notices that Tiffany Nieves is walking down the boardwalk with the conflict resolution guy, and they're walking down the boardwalk hand in hand. Appears like they're on a date. And Tiffany Nieves did not want to be spotted. She did not want to be noticed and was very embarrassed by the situation. And then as it was finishing, Markova said, "That's weird." And I have to agree, like, there's nothing been more true about this show than that segment being weird. Like, I don't understand what the point is of this. And, if we give it more time, I just don't think it's going to make any more sense down the road. It's not pushing Tiffany Nieves as a bigger star. It doesn't make her a bigger potentially challenger for the Burke. It doesn't make her any more of a star in terms of anybody's, watching this. And then the whole segment between Markova and Idol just felt like a private conversation that didn't need to be on air. But, again, that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. Do you guys have anything you would like to add on that?
Half the stuff that the NWA puts on in between matches does not need to be on air, to be honest with you. Actually, I wouldn't even say half, 90%.
Also,
sorry to keep cutting you off, Jaden.
DK, go first.
I was going to say, let's be honest. If it's not an interview, a good old-fashioned interview, podium, backstage, in the ring, I don't care where. It doesn't need to be on there.
Thank you, DK.
I think we all agree to that.
I think Markova did more harm to herself than good with this segment. Well, there was never any good going to be done, but she definitely did harm to this segment.
I can agree.
the way she was reacting to it did not come across as like she cared about the title. The close-ups of her face did notice a bunch of scars and stuff because I could assume because she's from the hardcore wrestling, so that took away from it. It's everything about it made her seem less of a star. Where now I no longer think that Markova should talk.
Jeez.
It's
Right.
that segment made me realize that unless she's produced and can get something out of her, that talking segment made her less of a star, less important. And I was becoming a fan of her, and it was a fan of her I wasn't initially. I used to call her Slippers' mother, and or the lady from Two Broke Girls, same actress, but
Still stiff.
but still, it did not do it, and I was starting to become a fan of those, and then it just that level dropped a little bit. And I am less excited for her becoming World Women's Champion than I was before that segment.
DK?
Yeah, DK already, did we?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, Rick. You're good. We're all done. Okay.
I think so.
Next up, we get the Holy Grail versus Drake and Stevens. Now, again, this match, look, the match was fine, but I didn't really love it. We get the entrance for Holy Grail, like, elicits memories of Tyler Durden walking into Fight Club. Like, it was, I popped for it too at the Crockett Cup. Jaden was sitting next to me, and I thought, this is kind of cool. I kind of like the entrance. And I get with EC3 and his whole control your narrative or the Project Exodus or whatever it is. Like, he's kind of himself a bit of a cultist. And when he comes walking out, I just think that the vibe is really cool. Sorry, I'm a kid of the 90s and it appeals to me. I still like it. I pop for it. However, EC3's tan, I think, would make Tim Storm jealous. Like, he was dark. and it looked like it didn't look natural for EC3 to be that dark. But anyways, and I also, one of the things that I thought early on too is that I could appreciate that both teams had matching gear. Stevens and Drake were both in like this very bright pink, and EC3 and Pretty Boy Smooth literally had matching gear. So I thought that was kind of cool. The match doesn't get started before we go to a commercial break. They mentioned that Colby Carino will speak next week, and they're starting to allude that he is injured. He's out. They show him in the neck brace. And I thought that was kind of cool because we didn't hear anything. They didn't show anything. We saw him at the TV tapings in Tampa prior to his injury.
Oh,
we lost Rick.
My bad. Sorry, I'm here.
And then so I like how they're bringing the reality into it. And a couple times the NWA has had to bring in the reality that's forced their hand. And this is one of those instances where I think this was a reasonable time to do that. And then we get Mondo next, and he's pumped up. His face is all up in the screen, and he's very agitated like Mondo is, and he's coming for Mims and the national title. And this was a I think we're all excited to see Mondo in this match, but this was something that wasn't advertised. And so this is like, at least we're getting some breadcrumbs about a title match that's going to happen next week. So again, I was excited that they give Mondo that opportunity to speak. He's not the best promo guy in the business. He doesn't need to be the best promo guy in the business. He just needs to get the point across, which he did. Do you guys have anything you want to add to that?
No.
So then we get the match is kind of going. At one part, Carson kind of fell onto the outside of the ring, and he faked being attacked by Pastor CeeLo, who at this point in the match has not gotten involved at all in any capacity, not like to distract the referee, not to trip anybody. And then so the referee is quick to hand out a warning to Pastor CeeLo, although there was no contact. Then later, Carson is kind of near the ropes, and he slaps Pastor CeeLo in the head, which the referee sees. It's very open, and he sees it. Pastor CeeLo goes and trips Carson. That's the first time he gets involved with the match in any capacity. And then the referee kicks out Pastor CeeLo, who at this point had done nothing good or bad as a manager. He was just kind of ringside. So that was a funny segment. It made me laugh. And then the match itself was just, it was okay. Like, it was nothing groundbreaking. It was nothing earth shattering. Considering the fact that Aaron Stevens hasn't been a regular wrestler for the NWA in a couple of years. I know he's done some stuff on the indies, but not much. He looked pretty good. He delivered a nice drop kick. They kept calling it Mongrovian Jiu-Jitsu, where he was, laying in some knees, which I think is still funny that they're still going, hollering back to that. The finish came when Stevens had that loaded glove, and he got PB Smooth. He hit him and knocked him out, and Drake got the roll-up for the victory. I feel like it was an interesting way to end the match. EC3 didn't take the loss. PB Smooth did. Again, it keeps EC3 strong for when he inevitably gets back into the single world title picture. And losing by Stevens cheating, I don't think hurts the Holy Grail very much. Now, this was initially advertised as a title match for the Holy Grail. It looks like they have stalled those plans for just a little bit. But by and large, the match was okay. I didn't have a problem with it. I'll go to you first, Jaden. What did you think of this match?
I had a problem with it because it was two heels and the crowd was absolutely dead. And it was at the wrong placement of the match. It would have been better as a second match, I think, or a third match instead of the main event, because they could have brought the crowd down a little bit to bring him up for Hammerstone and Kerry Morton. So I think the placement of the match was wrong. The match itself, two heels versus each other, was wrong. And when it comes to Pastor CeeLo getting thrown away, it's an old rule in hockey. The penalty, the initial shot, the initial dirty tactic rarely gets caught, but the retaliation does. And that happens a lot of times where somebody in hockey retaliates and gets the penalty. And it's called drawing a penalty, and that's exactly what Carson Drake did. He drew that penalty to get him thrown out. I don't know how in any way possible Aaron Stevens could miss PB Smooth's head. I could probably hit it from here, and I'm in Jersey, and I'm blind without my contacts, and there's walls in between us, and I'd still probably hit it from here. So it was okay. It was a wrong placement. I do like the fact that Aaron Stevens was there because EC3 and Aaron Stevens both have some name value. They have some recognizability. People know who they are. And with the NWA right now, and I'll talk about this, but it's something I want to talk about later. Hopefully we'll get through this quick. They need stuff right now because they're not being paid attention to. So anybody happens to come across this, they might see Damian Sandow, a.k.a. Aaron Stevens, and they might see EC3 and go, all right, I at least recognize who these people are. Also, the other problem is the match never got out of first gear. It always stayed in first gear, which was something we had a thing with EC3 before about. He was showing he had a second gear recently, but this match, I don't think he showed it.
No.
And rumors are he was hurt already in this match. Something was not well with him anyway, so that may have been played into it. But he did a dive, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And it looked like he got hurt with doing it as well, so hopefully that wasn't the case. DCam, your thoughts on this one? Or not?
I agree with you, DK.
Hold on. Well, actually, it wasn't too different from my actual statement I was making, which is I didn't really care about any of it. I don't like Aaron Stevens back in the ring. I don't like the loaded glove. I've never been into the tag team of EC3 and the 4-head or 5-head or 6-head or whatever.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like Carson Drake, the character. So there was nothing in this match that was for me. And it wasn't even that good. It wasn't terrible, but I mean, it's not like I sat there and go, oh man, this match absolutely stinks. But it was just like, it wasn't even okay. It was just there.
All right.
So, I mean, never do this again. What did Jim Ross say? Give me a good guy, give me a bad guy. You didn't really do that here. Someone to cheer, someone to boo, and a reason for them to be in the ring, and I didn't see any of that in this. All I saw is, why are they wrestling? And I don't really care what the answer is. I'm going to go get a sandwich.
What kind of sandwich did you get?
Honestly, peanut butter and jelly.
That for sure.
Peanut butter jelly time.
It's hard sometimes, just being a good PB&J.
I don't know the last time I had a PB&J sandwich, and it sounds great. I can want one right now.
That's actually why I got one earlier in the day. I heard somebody on TikTok who's from the United Kingdom talk about how they don't really have PB&J sandwiches there, and so she was asking about them and everything like that. And I was just thinking, I haven't had one in ages. I want a good peanut butter jelly sandwich. And that match was enough to make me decide I'll go get one.
I was cleaning out my cupboard yesterday, and I found 4 unopened jars of peanut butter. So looks like I'm going to be having PB&J for quite some time.
Good man. Don't waste that peanut butter.
No, I don't know where the hell it all came from, but whatever.
So we'll buy the big ones at Costco, right? And then the kids don't like the nutty peanut butter. The wife doesn't like the creamy peanut butter. I could care less. I'll take whichever peanut butter you put in front of me, because peanut butter is great. And then, as this dieting hack, like the other day, I took some, what did I take? I took regular Greek yogurt, or vanilla Greek yogurt, the Oikos.
That's my favorite.
Protein. Right, and then I just threw a little bit of peanut butter in there. I was like, whoo, that's pretty good. That's good.
I buy a lot of frozen fruit and put it in my yogurt. So
Yeah.
I got a recipe for you guys after the show. And by the way, peanuts are the only nut I'm not allergic to, and yet it's the one that almost killed me twice.
Choking on nuts?
Yeah. When I was a kid, ha ha ha. I was a kid, I'm going to completely ignore that one. I used to eat peanut butter by the big tablespoon whip until one day I ate enough of it to block my throat, and I had to actually clear my throat. And then the second one is I used to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with about half a jar of peanut butter and half a jar of jelly on 2 pieces of bread. And the same thing, the peanut butter blocked my throat. I had to clear my own throat.
God damn.
Let me clear my throat.
No, sorry. No, even Ruby Ray's laughed at that one, Jaden. So, yeah, that was a good timing there. Okay. Sorry. All right. So that was Power.
It was meh. It started good. It started good, or pretty good, but then kind of just got meh towards the end.
That's exactly how it was last week too, because you started off with Rich Swann and Alex Taylor, and it was just a
great match. Yeah,
and
that was a great match. Yeah,
and then it kind of just went downhill from there. So I thought this was a good look for the NWA. There was nothing overly offensive about this. Like, I didn't feel insulted. It wasn't a lot of bullshit. It was pretty good wrestling. And again, I've never had a problem with the talent. It's usually the way that the stories are told. So I felt like this was a step in the right direction again for the NWA. And I would even say this was a good episode for the NWA. I'm not saying it was great. I'm not saying it's the best wrestling on TV. But considering what I've been subjected to in 2025 watching the National Wrestling Alliance, I'd much rather watch this than what I saw a couple weeks ago. With that being said, that's Power. Of course, if you want to talk a little bit more about the NWA, there's some shows coming up. You go to live shows at the NWA National Wrestling Alliance.com. You can check that out. But I know our pal Jaden has some things he wants to talk about. I think as it relates to the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right, Jaden?
You're mistaken.
Oh,
I will talk about that. But I want to talk about the NWA and how they have an opportunity now and they need to find ways to capitalize on it.
All right. What do you mean?
I was watching that British guy who sometimes does podcast with, I think his name is James something. He does podcasts with like Dutch Mantell and Stevie Richards.
Yes, I know who you're referring to. Yes.
And he was talking about the NWA and his thoughts about it, and how Brian Adam was talking about how hot they are and the big television contract, and that he didn't even know that he was thinking that Bram, aka Tom Latimer, was still the champion, and he was kind of talking about, saying truth, but some people was taking it as trash talking, but he was telling a lot of truth about the NWA, and it all stemmed because of Vince Russo making it seem like he was now booking for the NWA, and yeah, I bought into it for a little bit until I heard some things coming around that and I ended up coming true what I heard, so it was kind of, he was working with the Insane Clown Posse's Juggalo Championship Wrestling, but Vince Russo did the NWA a favor because people weren't talking about the NWA. People don't know about the NWA. And all of a sudden, they started to. And yes, Brian Idol talked about it, and people were getting mad at him, but Brian Idol at least was trying to push the company and defend the company and make the company seem bigger than it was. Yes, it was a lot of hyperbole, but he at least was trying to capitalize on that and make the best out of the situation and make something of the NWA and maybe grab some eyeballs toward it.
Yeah.
And this was a gift to the NWA. As weird as it sounds, the Vince Russo actually may help them out. So right now they need to find a way to capitalize on it. The NWA has no momentum, no buzz, no steam. They have good talent. They have good matches. I love the way this event looks on television.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some production errors that are still here, and there's obviously those stupid skits. But this right now could be the NWA's chance to try to do something. And it sucks because they're well behind on their TV. It's going to be a while before something comes across on TV. So right now, whoever is in charge of the NWA's everything, like anybody, send this to Brian Idol, send this to anybody who might be anybody in the NWA. And please, I'm imploring you, listen to this. Find ways right now to grab some attention on this. You need whoever is in charge of your social media. If you don't have somebody, hire people right now and get some interest out there. Thrillbilly needs to be everywhere on every social media platform you have. The one guy who has a little bit of known buzz and internet clout right now, and Jack Vaughn, capitalize on him. Have him do his little stuff with NWA guys. Have him do some interaction with his as NWA guys. Have him use that little bit of internet stardom that he has to do so and capitalize even more. I know people are going to disagree with this. Find out what Cardona's dates are. Give your dates. So you say what your next year's is. Say, Cardona, are you available on any of these? Even if you have to change it to a middle of the week to figure out how to do it, go to a comedy club and go on a Tuesday, take the Dave Marquez method and get something out there, but get him on stuff. The Richard Holiday right now. Richard Holiday's getting a big buzz from stuff. He's really finally starting to get his attention that he deserves. Get him involved. The Ben Bishop. Find a way. If you think, here's our date. We want you now. We want you on television, and do the same thing you did with Jack Vaughn. Capitalize on anything you can. Like going back to Matt Cardona, have somebody once a week on their show talking about the NWA. Have somebody you can talk. The Pope would be a perfect example. The Thrillbilly obviously would be a perfect example. Aaron Stevens can talk. Get him on these podcasts and get any NWA guy you could on any kind of podcast that has any kind of following. Yes, it'd be great to have him on alliance-wrestling.com, but get him on that Chris Van Vliet, whatever his name is. Find ways to get NWA guys on there. Find that British guy who said he was having, he was going to have Trevor Murdoch on, and Trevor Murdoch no-showed him. Find a way to, have Trevor Murdoch on there and have anybody who has anybody on that show. Have Billy Corrigan pull any friends he has. The show that Bully Ray's on, what's that called? Busted Open?
Yeah.
Right? Get somebody on there. Find, if you have any contact still with Jim Cornette, as controversial as he is, have somebody talk to Jim Cornette. Have somebody talk to any and everybody that has got any kind of buzz on the internet right now with some kind of podcast, except for Vince Russo and except for that Mongoloid from Canada. What was his name? Hannibal.
Yeah,
I did that one. I did that one for you, DK. I did that one for you, DK. but some, that Neanderthal, if you want to call him that. But anybody who's got any kind of buzz, get themselves out there. Get them on get them interviewed by any website. Get them interviewed by any radio show. Get them interviewed by any television show you can. Get them on anything you can and try to create some grassroots buzz for the NWA. Ohio Valley Wrestling, it's lost a lot of its luster after that documentary they had on Netflix, but they still have a little bit of name value out there. The OVW name still holds a little cachet. They have a television. Get them out there. It's proof right now that at Major League Pro Wrestling or Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, that's what it was.
Yeah, Maple Leaf.
All the internet fans on the NWA boards love them, but they apparently don't have that much of a buzz if people didn't even know like what the NWA champion who's offended on there. Yeah. It didn't gain enough interest, but if there's something on there, get Maple Leaf Pro. Find anything you can right now and throw against every bit of spaghetti against the wall to try to grab that interest. Tommy Invincible, another guy who out there has got an internet buzz. Find a way to get him involved and do it. Anybody and everything you can that's not an embarrassment and not like something that's horrible, that's going to do more harm than good, or not something that's going to make you guys look stupid. Get your name out there and try to get something. And again, social media manager. You need to be putting out videos on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, Reddit, Facebook, X, and anything you can. Find ways to get these guys. You have the Roku Sports channel. If your Roku Sports is your home, find ways to get EC3 or anybody who can talk on any one of those other sports podcasts and broadcast on that station to get them talking about the NWA. Create some synergy. And if you have anybody at Fox News, whatever, if you still have friends at Fox News, get them on that. You have friends on somebody who's conservative, somebody that's liberal. Get anybody you can to try to create that interest, because right now, this is your only shot to do it, and you really, really, really need to capitalize on it.
Our good friend Ray's also was, I think, echoing what you were saying. Networking, marketing, and wrestling can be real easy. We literally all know each other. It's just smart business. So like what you're saying, she's echoing. It's not as difficult as it sounds. It really should be a lot easier. And like, honestly, if Billy was more in touch with his audience, I think he would understand that. I don't know that he is. That's my only like drawback. Everything you said, I agree with. And it sounds like Ray's kind of agrees too. It's just do it, and I don't feel like that there's enough autonomous activity happening within the NWA where they're doing that. And I think that's, again, you bring it up. Busted Open used to, when Aldis was world champion, would have Aldis on all the time, and they would glowingly speak about the NWA all the time. Matt Cardona is a co-host on the show now, and he didn't bring it up. You don't hear those guys talking about the NWA.
Does Dave LaGreca bring it up at all? Because he loved it for a while.
No,
he was really behind it especially in the beginning, and then for quite some time. I haven't listened to it in a long time, so I don't know.
What was funny is just a few weeks ago they were talking about, they literally brought up Tyrus and Bully Ray, Bully Ray says some smart things and he says some dumb things, but this is one of the smart things he said. And he was like, look, you had Tyrus, the guy who was on Fox News, the most viewed evening programming in the United States. And they had him on that show every night holding the 10 pounds of gold. Did they get one more ass in the seat because of that? And like I said, from my own personal experience, he did have a following there in St. Louis. But I don't think the means justified the end. I think if they would have had somebody like a Nick Aldis, that you probably would have sold more tickets based on performance than you would have based on notoriety. If it wasn't Nick Aldis, I mean, even Trevor Murdoch and Matt Cardona were doing pretty decent business. We could have had the continuation of that feud for a while. And if not Matt Cardona, maybe we could have fast forwarded Tom Latimer and
Trevor
Murdoch or EC3.
EC3.
company, huh?
EC3, yeah.
Yeah, or EC3, who was already in the business at that point. He was in the NWA. So to what you're saying, like, yeah, they are not talking about the NWA as much as they used to. They're not talking about the NWA at all. We're talking about the NWA. Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast is talking about the NWA. That other guy that you keep sending me videos of, Jaden, he talks about the NWA, never in a positive way. There's not any buzz with the NWA as it stands right now. And it's a shame because there's a lot of good talent and they do have some positive elements. But, it's kind of hard to sell somebody on a product where, like, look, most of us are diehard fans and it's hard for us to get behind the product 100% of the time.
Yeah, but that's what they need to do. They need to, A, put out a product that we care about, but B, they really need. I mean, they can put the best product in the world out, but if nobody sees it, cares, knows about it, then it's not going to help the business at all anyway. Social media is a commercial. People always think social media is like, oh, it doesn't do whatever. Social media is a commercial to sell the brand. The brand's the NWA. The brand is Thrillbilly. The brand is Tom Latimer. The brand is the Southern Six. The brand is the stars that they have out there and the future talent that can be something. And everybody needs to be an individual brand that builds into the one big brand, and they all need to sell themselves. Guys, you need to be your own whore and your own pimp. And if you guys get behind the NWA and they could just get some kind of grassroots movement, then it could be built upon. Then maybe an investment on something can be bigger, because they'll have something to build upon. You got to build that foundation before you can build that house, and then before that house you got to build that wall before you can build that roof. So you got to start with that foundation and build and build and build, but there's nothing right now. They're building on quicksand. That's the problem with the NWA right now. They need to solidify that foundation and then build from there. And to do that, they actually have to start laying down that cement and pounding that ground and filling up those sinkholes and getting that perfectly done so we can now build onto the NWA. But all they're doing right now is digging that hole more and adding more water to that quicksand so they sink even faster.
It's I'm also chatting with Ray's, who's watching us on TikTok. I've said it a couple times, but whatever. She says it's wild that a company as old as the NWA is struggling with this. Yeah, it should be a lot easier, and I don't know why it isn't. And it's not like Billy Corgan doesn't have a background in media, right? Like, it's not like he hasn't been doing media since the 90s, and it's not like he hasn't evolved and changed along with everything else. So,
and what's funny though? I see Billy Corgan all the time talking about bands in the that he grew up on, talking to different musicians about it, and I've seen him talking with Bill Burr and talking about stuff and talking to other things, but nobody doesn't mention is the NWA.
Oh, he mentions it, but not much. But hey, we are getting long in the tooth here. So I want to give an opportunity for Rick and DK and Jaden to plug whatever they have to plug that's coming up next. So first, I'm going to go with you, Rick. What do you got going on? What's coming up next?
Absolutely nothing. I have some time off, I guess you can say. Nothing booked right now. There is an interview with Pro Wrestling Mid-South's Virginia Championship Wrestling, whatever tag team, The Faculty. Please go check that out. There were a bunch of really good guys. It was about an hour long, and I really didn't even need to be there. They could have done the interview themselves, honestly, and they made me laugh. They were comical and very entertaining fellas. I don't really have much coming up over the next few weeks, but Veterans Day, you're going to see an interview with a Team 3D student that's been making waves here in this area as of late, Antonio Andolini, Sergeant Antonio Andolini. He's going to tell his story. He's going to be dropping Veterans Day.
Cool.
So he's going to be, he is a veteran and someone that just got out of the service and then started training at Team 3D out in Danbury, Connecticut, which is about an hour from me. It's one of the schools. Head instructor Randy Shawn is out there, and Bubba stops in there every so often. So, and Antonio, I've had the opportunity to work with him quite a few times in the last since the summer, since coming around these parts, and he's a great guy. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun. When we get it done, it's gonna be a fun conversation. I'm really looking forward to that. Outside of that, I have nothing else going on. In the meantime.
Fair enough. DK, do you have anything that you would like to promote, plug, announce?
No.
Fair enough. And Mr. Jaden, what do we got going on with Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators?
A lot in the future. We'll start off on November 29th. Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators will be at Masso's Catering and Venture Hall and all the other things that Masso's has. There'll be a craft fair there that's going to be happening for the Christmas time. And Dog will have a table there, in an unusual venue for us, but we're going to have some of that to try to create some interest in Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators and get fans in a non-traditional way. The best thing about non-wrestling fans is they're not jaded, and they don't have a preconceived notion. So we're trying to create new fans, just like we did last week at the South Jersey Geek Fest. We created a bunch of new fans, got to know people who follow us, and we helped build the company and expressed it. And we're going to be back there. So I'll tell you about that in a second. But, we're trying to grab the interest right now of people, try to create new wrestling fans, because all the wrestling fans we have right now are unhappy with professional wrestling. So we're trying to create that. So when they see Dog Pro Wrestling, that's their image of pro wrestling, and that's what they see. And then all of a sudden they'll think wrestling's all great. But then, Jay.
Do you want me to play the video?
Yes. First play that video, and then I have more to talk about.
Hi, Dog fans. It is I, Valerie Verman, your WWGP Women's Champion, and I'm just stopping by because I wanted to tell you guys some of my thoughts. I've been thinking that's what I do in my free time, I think, and I've been thinking about my career in Dog and my championship run, and I've just been giggling and kicking my feet in the bed thinking about it because it's amazing. I've actually had such an incredible run, and nobody's talking about it. I mean, I never compliment myself, and even I can't help but put a video out there saying, oh my God, Valerie Verman's amazing. I mean, every single opponent I had, I beat. That's why I still have the championship. It doesn't matter how I won, because I always will win. When there's a will, there's a way. And when there's a Valerie, there's a winner. Because pretty always wins. Woo!
I should have been prepared to turn that off.
I used to.
That was Valerie Verman, who is on quite a run. She has a lot of big victories as World Wrestling Grand Prix Women's Champion, and she's looking to expand her places that she defends at championships. So if anybody looking to defend the World Wrestling Grand Prix Champion and bring in Valerie Verman, make sure to talk to Dr. Zirconium or the officials of the World Wrestling Grand Prix, and I'm sure both could make it happen. But then, speaking of Valerie Verman, she's got 3 events, or at least 2 events, I think all 3 coming up, that we're going to have to announce. 2026 is already starting to get a little busy for Dog. We'll start off with April the 4th. It is the South Jersey Geek Fest, where we were just out to do the table. Now we're going to have Dog Pro Wrestling there on April 4th at the Gloucester County 4-H Fairgrounds. So the Dog Pro Wrestling will be part of the South Jersey Geek Fest. We will have a table, and we will have Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators action. So that'll be a lot of fun. So make sure you check that out. That's, again, April the 4th. It is a Saturday. And then Friday night, April the 10th, just a few days later, Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators returns to Rowan University for WrestleMania, our annual event for Rowan University. And already signed is going to be the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Heavyweight Championship. Will be on the line as champion Vinny the Fixer defends against the Rowan After Hours Colonial Cup, or whatever they called it. Winner Adrian Soriano. Every time Rick plays with his camera, we get a lot of static.
Wasn't me.
Actually, it is you.
It is you, yeah. But so we're gonna have the the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Championship is going to be on the line as Vinny the Fixer takes on Adrian Soriano. Again, the Rowan After Hours, whatever they name their cup, I don't even know. But it's going to be that's going to be a great match for that event. It's going to be the main event of the evening, or at least one of the main events. Plus, you're going to see Ethan Promise, who is a wrestler from Rowan University. He made it pretty far in that cup, but lost to Dylan Mesh through some underhanded tactics. Now he goes one-on-one Dylan Mesh again. Both are going to be fresh for that match, and he's going to have a rematch against Dylan for the Rowan WrestleMania. So that's a second match already signed, and that's pretty far away, but things are going fast for Dangerous General Wrestling Gladiators, with a lot of things are in the works. So we're going to see more on that. And then on Sunday, June 14th, at Big Bill's Barbecue in Vineland, New Jersey, Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators will be back with the All-American Bash, but we're going to call this one the All-American Barbecue Bash.
Nice.
And it's going to be there's going to be a bunch of matches happening. Whoever the champions are going to be defending. The World Wrestling Grand Prix Women's Champions are signed. They'll be defended. Both Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Championships are signed. I think they're working on getting the World Wrestling Grand Prix Championship signed. And who knows, maybe we'll do something in association with the Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Association. So that's coming up too. But that's assuming Vinny, he's got that match against Adrian Soriano in April. That's assuming he's still champion, because he's going to be defending that title against Nick Bati coming up this November. I think November 10th. Correct me on the date, but that's going to be at the VFW in Summerdale. For the Mawa event. Mawa is our sister promotion, Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Alliance. And Vinny the Fixer will be defending against Nick Bati. Nick Bati was one of those 4 individuals in that match where Vinny the Fixer won the championship. And it's going to be a really, really good match. Nick Bati is incredibly talented and incredibly underappreciated. And people need to start paying attention to him. So assuming, again, Vinny's the champion, he has to get through Nick Bati first. And that's easier said than done. So make sure you go to Mawa for that on November. I think it is the 10th. I wish I had the poster in front of me. I didn't write nothing in front of me, but I'm looking forward to that match, because that match will be really, 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 really good. And that's a lot. Plus, there's more that we're working on. If things work out well, Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators is going to be very busy in the year of 2026. And I wanted to say, since Rowan University has that event on Friday night, April the 10th, and it's my last chance with somebody who's very friendly to Dog as the student ambassador who's arranging these events. And we've had podcasts there in the past. J. Cal, Rick Del Santo, and DKM might make a really good live Alliance Guys podcast. So the 3 guys can come down over, and slightly catty corner to check out that event. Maybe the 3 of you can do a live Alliance Guys podcast from a dog wrestling event at WrestleMania.
That would be very, very cool. All right, guys. It is we're past our allotted time, so it's time to call it a night. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Rick, glad to have you back. Jaden, DK, thanks again for being here. And until next time, we will see you at the matches. I don't know if that's even playing audio or not.
It is not. So thank you for joining us at the Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source of news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. This has been the Alliance Guys podcast. Did you enjoy listening to us rant and rave about stuff that has nothing to do with anything, and of course the NWA? Make sure you tune in each and every week. Also, make sure you check out our friends at the other Alliance Guys. I think they come on Monday. I wish I paid more attention to what Jay says, because that's what make it easy for me to do. But make sure you check us out. Also, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to hit that bell icon so you never miss an upload of Alliance Guys podcast action. If you're friends with the NWA, if you're friends with Major League Wrestling, if you're friends with Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators, if you're friends with the Championship Wrestling for Hollywood, make sure you like all our videos. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you at the